Introducing the future of hassle-free and seamless financial transaction. The Una Wallet app, empowering you to effortlessly manage your money anytime, anywhere. With the Una Wallet app, you can now enjoy branchless banking, wallet-to-wallet transfer, wallet-to-cash, and bank cross-border payments, deposit at a bank, and withdraw from any Una branch. Get ready to experience the ultimate banking convenience with the Una Wallet app. With just few taps on your phone, you can effortlessly add funds, withdraw, and send money to your loved ones. The Una Wallet app also provides a detailed history of your transaction, making it easier to track your expenses. So, what are you waiting for? Download the Una Wallet app today on Play Store or App Store and say goodbye to hassle of traditional banking. Una Forex Bureau Limited, delivering much more than money.
And welcome to another edition of our show. It's another Thursday and we are back in the studio. Of course, you know who my guest is, Mustapha K. Darboe, the editor-in-chief of The Republic, my former bita. Actually, welcome back to the show, Mustapha.
Thank you.
It's been a while. Even you've been hiding, doing a lot of work. But I think the reason why you are more here today is to look at two of the recent jobs. We always do this, and people were asking. We always do this after every story. You come and we look at the story, and just do a diagnostic of the story. But this one, when it came out, you had to take a break. Kato, this one was crazy. It was crazy. I don't know if you have done anything close to this. The impact it has caused, and that's the kind of work everybody wants. Impacts it all. First, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Now let's look at the story.
Yeah.
This story, the Jammeh asset. And and I keep saying this to people. I know you have been working on this story for the longest. It's almost what, 2 years? But why did it take this longer? Why did it take almost 2 years to work on a story like this? Because it should be easy to have access to documentation.
I was helping some couple of journalists from the US. They came here to do a story, and we were going around back and forth with authorities on some basic things.
Yeah.
And, one of them told me, Mustapha, we struggled this much to get information, and nobody forgives us if we get it wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
And I had a conversation with a couple of friends, and I told them, does this work feel like something that someone has been working on for 2 years? And they said no. I said yeah. It doesn't, because it's ridiculous, but that's the nature of things here. A story that should take you a week here takes you months. And so, especially if you are working on a story that people don't want told, there are a lot of requests by lawmakers from many parliaments back. I would say two parliaments back, because we have. I think we are heading for a third one. So there are many requests that were done by lawmakers. You can go back to their records. They have not. In fact, there are times when I think I know more than the people who are answering questions to lawmakers. Yeah, because when we were publishing our story on the sale of Jammeh's livestock, the minister was on the parliamentary floor and he was about to answer questions. I think it might have been our story that made him not to answer questions and to tell lawmakers, because we have asked a lot of questions, raised a lot of questions in the report that was made by the sheriff, that the minister felt like, look, this report is discredited, I cannot rely on it. He told them, look, you guys can go and open a parliamentary inquiry. That was the first time the minister said it in the parliament. That go and you can open a parliamentary inquiry. I have asked so many questions, you know. And so I have, in the last 2 years, written 3 requests for information to the Ministry of Justice. None of which was honored. None of which was honored.
Why was it not? They don't have the information, or they just don't want to give it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, the last one, Dauda made an effort. I have to give him that. The last 1 month before our publication, Dauda actually authorized Hussein Tomasi to give me the information. Dauda told him, this guy, because that I did on the ATI, on the access to information. Because the previous ones, 2 that I wrote, which I can show you copies of, there was no access to information before.
Yeah.
So at this time, when I wrote the last one, there was access to information. So I wrote under the ATI, and then Dauda asked Hussein Tomasi. For the last 3 or 4 times I went there, every day he forgets. Oh, I have forgotten. And I said, okay.
The Solicitor General.
Yes, then I come back later. Yeah, I've forgotten. And the last time he said he had authorized somebody to work on it. And apparently that person never replied.
So with all of this, you never had a single information from the Ministry of Justice?
Not one.
Not one?
Yeah, not one. All these things I have got outside of the ministry. Not one. Yeah. And how do I get it? We get one document from Party, another document from Samba, another document. So you go to police investigators, you go to Janneh Commission, former staff, you go to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is how we collect. It's like scavenging, you know? Yeah. So that is why when people who are in authority comes out to question you, it makes you angry.
It makes you angry.
Yeah, because
they refuse to give you the information.
I mean, in fact, we should not.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be the people to tell Gambian people, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything we have written about, all the reports we have written about, yeah, all the exhibits Janneh Commission received, everything. The Americans, they've given the Janneh Commission military grade scanners. They scan tons of documents at no time. Every document that appeared before Janneh Commission is on record. It's scanned.
It's scanned.
Yeah. Ultimately, I was able to get everything, all the exhibits, all the testimonies, everything. But it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, because you told me...
And you know also, those are not what you really, as a journalist, those are not a lot of, if you get tons of documents, several gigabytes of information, it takes months to go through them. You don't need that. Like what we basically need are sales reports, valuation reports, you know, some of those need, you know, necessary, useful information. It's not information. Yeah. I don't need a testimony. I can, of course, there are maybe persons of interest who have testified before the commission, and I may need their testimony.
Yeah.
So I can go back to testimonies and check. But there are, most of the times, you don't need those. So a lot of the tons of documents we have were not useful, you know. So you have to sift through a lot of the information to find little bit. You see, we are revisiting stories, even right now. That is why when I see people making noise about Janneh Commission, I said, calm down.
Yeah.
We cannot build a country being impulsive people. Janneh Commission is not a sprint, it's a marathon.
It's a marathon.
You won't even begin to do a story yet.
Yeah.
Because the story we have done basically is about lack of transparency. Yeah, we haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
We just meant to show to the Gambian people, so answer some elementary questions.
Yeah, because when I spoke to you, when we wanted to first have this conversation, you were very careful. You said, Fatou, like, there's more that we're working on.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
And as investigators, we still want to take our time because we're doing more.
Yeah.
So are you telling us we're going to have more reports coming from the desk?
So one of the things you do is you revisit even your old works. Yeah. So for example, if you look at this report, what we've done is we revisited the sale of the aircraft.
Yes.
You know, before we were told that the sale of the aircrafts, there were no better offers.
Yes.
But later we find out, sifting through Janneh Commission records, that in fact there were better offers.
Okay.
So we went back to those and said, well, they ignored better offers. In fact, there were better offers. With this ignoring better offers might not necessarily be intentional. It might have been because of negligence. It might have been because of recklessness. It might have been because of poor communication. I mean, it could be a lot of stuff, right? So we don't make a decision for the readers. You know, we present facts for them, and they make their own judgment. And so authorities can also have a clue as to where to look. So they can, if they want to go and investigate, they can investigate. Yeah, so those are the kind of things. But like I said, Janneh Commission is a tons of things.
And I want to start with the Janneh Commission before we even get to your report. You have gone through tons and tons of documents from the Janneh Commission. You have looked at their work. What's your perception, the kind of work the commission have done? What do you think of the work of the commission?
I think it's a quality work. It's a quality work, and I see. That's why I said sometimes we are very impulsive. What they've done is a good work.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that. But you can look through it also and see some
lapses.
Okay. Whether or not those are deliberate, that depends on the context and who is looking at it. I think that a number of cases they should have done better. I think in terms of transparency, they could have done better. I think in terms of sales and how much they made of those sales,
they could have done
better. But in terms of also looking at a lot of things that Jammeh had done and some of the recommendations they've done, I think if we had implemented all the recommendations of the commission, we would have had a much better country right now than we have.
If we have implemented the recommendations.
All the recommendations, yes, I think we would have a far more better country than we have. In fact, it's a tradition. It's a tradition I have, and everyone I work with now has. That whenever we are working on a story, I ask each of my team members, go find out what Janneh Commission said about this. Yeah.
You always make it a reference point.
Yes. That's why if you go back to our stories, whether how people access to State House, Janneh Commission, TRRC, we make it a reference point. They're good documents.
So let's
we can have lapses, and that's why we need to, when we are issuing judgments, we need to be dispassionate. So that you can have required clarity to be able to sift through things.
Let's look at some of the things like governance issues. What were the major recommendations? You said if we had implemented the recommendation, we would have been a better country. What were some of the governance issues that they recommended after looking at how Jammeh governed this country?
So Janneh Commission actually looked at a number of things. Part of the issues they looked at is using executive directives, abusing executive directives. And we've seen there are instances when under the current administration, an executive directive in one instance was used to ask a former deputy accountant general to take some bulk cash, thousands of euros, to the airport and pay some Bissau national who brought in two cartons of
COVID medication.
Exactly, COVID organic. Had we implemented the recommendation of Janneh Commission, we wouldn't have that instance. And this later came to be both. We did a story about it while I was at Malagan, and also it was flagged by auditors who audited the COVID funds. So a lot of things, even the mining, illegal black sand mining or white sand mining, construction sand mining. In both instances, there are recommendations Janneh Commission made. They were not implemented. To date, those recommendations are not implemented. And if they were implemented, we could have saved a lot of land areas in the Combo South, around the beach areas. There would have been rehabilitation. We would have done a lot of things. I've seen someone, I don't need to mention the name, but I've seen someone on Facebook also made a recommendation about what we could have done in Kanilai. And I said, well, perhaps the person also didn't read Janneh Commission report, because Janneh Commission did make a recommendation.
They did about Kanilai.
About what could be done in Kanilai. A lot of things, I think they've done a lot of good things. So we shouldn't go for their heads, you know, that would be unnecessary.
Yeah.
But we can also look at their work because they are not, it's not Abubakar Siddiq or Umar bin Khattab, it's mere mortals, you know. So we could sift through their records and also say, well, this thing they did, we think it's wrong.
Yeah.
Or we think this is a lapse in judgment. Or we think this is deliberate, this is an economic crime.
Yeah.
I mean, so that is left to us, the people.
The people, yeah. Because I was looking at, for me, my biggest issue with the Janneh Commission was the evaluation. Because I would have been able to buy a lot of the cars that they were selling. And also even the transparency, how they had advertised those, you know. But when
and some of the people also who were selling were part of the people who were buying.
Who are buying.
In fact, we've had a lot of testimonies about people who bought through proxies.
Yes.
Know? And so, but in a lot of those cases, you see, there are multiple standards in journalism.
Yeah.
Like in investigative journalism, there are multiple standards. Sometimes in some of the backdoor dealings, you can't have documentary proofs, right? So for example, where, unless I'm not a police, I can't summon people's bank accounts, right? So there are limitations we have. So sometimes you do what's called triple layer verification. So for example, you go to a party and ask if Samba bought a Range Rover from the auction, and Pata says yes. And you go to Mamadi and ask, and Mamadi also confirms that.
Yeah.
And Mamadi and Pate are not talking. And you go to a third person. And so we use that sometimes as a standard of proof when we don't have documentary proofs.
Yeah.
To say that because of the consistencies of these three different witnesses, this is likely the truth.
Yeah.
And if you do that in the Janneh Commission, there are, in the sales, you hear a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there are some people who are on the record as buyers.
Yeah, and they were members of the sales teams. Yes, yes, that's we have seen.
Some of those we reference in the story, but we also were careful not to give people too much
attention on those. Yeah.
So because you have to be careful also. A lot of these people, but yeah, so you give them a little bit of latitude when they go to court. And like the journalists, like I told you, the journalists that I told you about, they would rather not be right, but they don't want anyone to talk about it.
Yeah, and they will not give you the right information.
Yeah.
But procurement, because you know, because the reason why I want to look at these recommendations, you said we would have been in a better country if these recommendations
all of the
recommendations, and that includes procurement. We're talking about procurement processes that we all flag, the OIC vehicles and other issues that we have seen
a lot of the vehicle procurement are done by people who were flagged by
the Janneh Commission.
Definitely. And the government continue to do business with them. Even the way politically connected individuals access State House, Janneh Commission address it in many indirect ways, you know, because we've seen how certain politically connected individuals came up with procurement processes that emanated from State House. And Janneh Commission discouraged those kind of things in many different ways. I mean, you could see on the borough also, a lot of those connected politicians still procurement continues to initiate from State House, including the Banjul project.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you know, because the Janneh Commission, one of the things we had learned under Jammeh was not to put politicians in charge of procurement. And
that's what we're doing now.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that was about, you know, also instead of that's why I said we are very impulsive people. So instead of
focusing on the major issues, and I'll come to that, because we are drifting to something and leaving out
we're drifting to many things.
We are drifting, and I think that's why this conversation.
I even see some people saying, who should be given the credit to? Is it Mustafa? Is it the Republic? Is it Gala? I mean, you see it, and this is like completely needless conversation right now.
That should not be something we should even be talking about. But these are the things. Because, I mean, the reason why we had that commission was to establish the truth and also better our country. And then at this point, if that didn't happen, it makes it even difficult to say, was it even necessary? But one thing we also, because coming to this show, somebody said to me, Nita Mustapha Nyinenka, mining, Fenko Lomba Jamela. He said something about mining.
Apam, all these things.
And yeah, and I
was, black sand do taraje.
Yeah, black sand mean taraje, exactly.
Yeah, wafile.
He was asking me where ako Mustapha Nyinenka black sand.
Yeah, you're export.
And I want to know the gold.
You're export.
So the black sand was exported?
Yeah.
Sold?
The pile they found there. Yeah, were exported. I think we addressed that in the earlier story on black sand mining when I was at Malaga in 2022. 2020, sorry.
Now, also, a lot of us, and I think, a lot of us have not read the report. We just go through what has been reported after Molia, because it's difficult. But another thing that also came up was the inventory itself. Jamela Fengol. Because Cabral story now, I saw Rambo Jara brought up a list that Jammeh a comprehensive list of Indira. And then people started questioning even some of the items that were identified. The Janneh Commission identified about 262 properties, I think. But what Alpha Capital sold is about 40-something. But allegedly, we were also told
they said now 45.
They said now 45.
Even though the public list, the list that 35.
Yeah.
The list that is public right now
is 35.
I think the last I count is 35.
The list I saw two lists when they sent us the documentation. One list was around 35 or 37. The other list was 44. But Ika told me in list of 35, but you had few extra miyake 40. So when we were compiling, we didn't know which one to use. And I said to my editor, let's just use the 45, at least 44 one, maybe all official. But now the Janneh Commission told us that it was 262.
44, what do you mean? Because I think...
The ones
are you sure that's all the real estate? Because on the list, there are also shares, yeah. You mean everything sold?
Yes. Oh, there were shares. That's why it came to 40. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The properties was 30-something.
The properties were 35.
Now.
Including the garage at Serakunda.
Including the garage at Serakunda. But this excludes, allegedly, the lands that were identified by Pabo Young or others. Up to now.
Yeah, those are 11 or 12.
Those are about 11 or 12. Okay, so you know about that. Okay. Now I can stop saying allegedly.
No, it's not alleged. That's
I keep
confirmed.
saying alleged.
But some of those were already allocated and they were already being used.
Allocated to people.
Yeah,
why is the commission?
They were already being used, yeah. Some of them were allocated by GT board.
GT board. Okay. Now, the government, do you think we have a proper inventory of everything?
No. And that is what I want Gambian people to do, Fatou.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said we need to stop the unnecessary politics and be truthful people. A truthful person looks at an individual and be fair to them. Like, you look at the facts. Like, it doesn't matter who a Jola is or a Mandinka or a friend or a family or a brother or a sister.
Yeah.
So you look at something dispassionately and with only attention to facts, right? So what we need to do right now is stop all this conversation.
Yeah.
We go back to the roots and ask the first elementary question.
Yeah.
What are the things that Jammeh own?
What are the things
that Jammeh own? That's the first question. We go back to that. Yeah. So forget about what UDP was involved in doing. I mean, you will find, I can assure you, find people in UDP who are involved in this mess.
In this mess.
You will find people in NPP who are involved in this mess.
Yeah, everyone.
Everyone is involved.
That was in the force.
You even find people in APRC who are involved in this mess.
And even independent.
Exactly. So a lot of things, so you should stop all those questions and go back to the basic. Because these assets belong to the Gambian people.
Yeah.
This is not Jammeh.
At this point, it's ours.
It was forfeited to the state.
Yeah.
And so we go back to the basic. What are the things that Jammeh owns? What are the real estate he owns? What are the lands that he reportedly owns? What are the vehicles he reportedly owns? The juries, the guns, everything.
Yeah.
His clothes, his sword, his house, his livestock, everything. Now, once we establish that, then we now come to the second phase. What happens to these things?
What happened?
Who owns this now? where was this taken to? What are the foreign bank accounts? Where are the foreign bank accounts? The Gambia government told us they were working with World Bank Asset Recovery Committee. What happened to
those that?
Yeah. Where are the properties in abroad? Like Jammeh had a property in Morocco. We were told he also had a property in Guinea. What happened to those? The only property we know about is the property in the US. We know there were Gambians who were named in association to Panama Papers. You know, how much money was in their account. And what do we know about those things? Like, how do we go back to the basic and ask the elementary questions? And then we come back to the present. Yeah? But we must first go back to the past. And we will be able to identify everybody who, deliberately or otherwise, contributed to what we currently have. But we need to do so without much sentiment. I mean, I know. I mean, a sentiment. It's an important resource right now.
We are emotional because this is something. It's like Mustapha. Iko Jammeh nyinsu nyantol kotol. No commission ogenga 50 million dundu commission. Umpare da wo fenkilo altol fane na obe sunyang koto.
That's why
and that's why everybody is emotional. At some point, I think that's why.
I think commissioner equal kelamenia along koda is afuko the AGB is a sikosto jeda.
It's a sikosto ladolta. Yeah.
Jamal beje is a sikosto
jeda. Yeah. Now, let's look at your report. You said, what angle did you looked at the conflict of interest angle in this story? Because when I look at it, the entire story is more about conflict of interest in the processes and empowering certain Kamodolu favor. That's what the angle the story took. Why that angle? Why was that important?
Look, for us, like I said, for many people, for whom, who are having a one-off time with Jammeh's asset, this is unusual.
Yeah.
But for us, this is the third story we published.
Yeah.
The first story we published is about the sale of the livestock.
Yes.
The second story we published is the sale of the aircraft, which we revisited in this other story.
Yeah.
The third story we published sought to look at how the receiver was hired, who is the receiver, how much money he reported, how much money he reportedly made, based on the calculations we have made, based on the agreement he had with the Ministry of Justice.
Yeah.
Right? And then we go to sale of the vehicles and the sale of the tractors, and the sale of the aircraft.
And the properties.
And then so that is how, so for us it was not as though we were targeting
it was more just,
Tambiedu. I mean, in any case, he was the one in charge of the process.
He was.
So it's not, there is no way you could edit him out of the story. Yeah, but in a sense, that is what we were looking at. So for us, it's a logical sequence. You look at the hiring of the receiver, how the receiver was hired, and the role of the Ministry of Justice at that time in the process, and the fallout he had with the court, Amina and yes, Amina.
And then Justice Jaite.
And also the land that we thought were sold.
And that particular, before you go, I want to come there because it is important because obviously the former Justice Ministers did send in rebuttal. We'll look at that, but it's important to look at that aspect. The receiver, Prompt, was the first receiver, right? And he was paid 10%. But at some point, I think in the commission, there were issues that were raised because Ocean Bay especially...
Not just Ocean Bay. Hotels were complaining and some institutions were complaining that it was a rip-off.
Salary. They were giving all their money to receiver. And the commission engaged and made sure his payment was reduced from 10% to 3%.
Yeah, that was a claim, that was a request.
That was a request the commission made.
Yeah.
And at some point he had accepted. But the fact that you had somebody who had accepted to stay at 3%, and now the ministry coming in with a new receiver and paying that receiver 10%. even to the point of going to court to fight, and then, you know, ignoring an order from a judge, or just ignoring it and going to file a fresh case somewhere. That you know, that mentality there itself.
Well,
what happened there? What really happened?
So let's unpack it. I think now, you know, the Ministry of Justice froze some assets.
Yes.
It's not all of the assets. It's just some list of assets.
Yeah.
And so the court, when the court freezes an asset, they appoint a receiver. A receiver is like an independent person who is going to act on your behalf. On behalf of the person whose asset is frozen, so that it's taking care of all those things, and that happens. And so that was Augustus Prom.
Yeah.
Now, and they, you know, now what Amina felt, and of course the former Justice Minister disagree with this interpretation, but what Amina felt was that she appointed a receiver which was later sacked by the minister. But the minister is saying, no, that didn't happen. It was an interim injunction, so she was Augustus Prom was appointed, and then the appointment expires. And then naturally, if the appointment expires, so does the receivership. The interim order expires, so does the receivership. Yeah, and so in any case, the Ministry of Justice hired Alpha Capital Advisory. And of course, the former minister says they didn't. The ministerial committee is the one that hired. So we only write what we see. Yeah. As far as we are concerned, the letter that we saw that was written to Alpha by Binga D, who was actually at the time the ministry's focal person on the sale of Jammeh's assets, says that you are hereby appointed by the Honorable Minister of Justice. It didn't say we are conveying this to you on behalf of the ministerial committee. Oh. So we wrote that, yes, it was appointed by former minister. Yeah. So people can go, the letter is in the story, you can go and read it for themselves. And so, yeah, so that's how we think the receiver was hired. There were a lot of back and forth arguments. You can't have everything in the story, but there are a lot of back and forth arguments because, you know, we already have precedents regarding asset recovery in the country. I mean, we know Jammeh made an investigation here, and that's how AMRC was created.
And that's my question. AMRC is set up by government, right? And this is exactly their role, right? Why was it necessary in the first place to have a receiver instead of using AMRC?
So this is the point. Now, the explanation of the former minister was that AMRC is conflicted because AMRC is itself indicted by the Janneh Commission, except that the commission didn't have enough time. Whether or not they are indicted, but he's saying they have something to answer.
That's what he said.
Or whether or not, there was no enough time for Janneh Commission to look into it. So therefore, it will be inappropriate for them to be in charge of the sale. For as far as I am concerned, that's neither here nor there. I mean, a lot of institutions, a lot of individuals in almost all the institutions are implicated in Jammeh's, including Ministry of Finance, including former Minister of Finance. Yes. So you don't say because former Minister of Finance,
including so many people right now at State House. In so everybody is indicted.
Yeah, exactly. Almost so since State has a precedent in managing assets and in disposing of them. I mean, come to think of it. So the amount of money that in total we calculated, Alpha didn't respond to our queries. He said we were biased, but depending on, I mean, I don't know how much he finally got, but based on our calculation, he got around 89 million. So basically 90 million. That's close to 2 times. That's almost 2 times the entire money we spent on the Janneh Commission.
Oh my God. So,
so for example,
can you say this again?
That money could go to government.
Alpha Capital, they only sold 44 properties.
Yeah, something like
that's what they said.
Well, not
about
40,
that is something.
Shares, properties,
about 40. Used everything. 44.
Vehicles,
But they made 89, almost 90 million.
That's based on our calculations.
And that is way, almost double the price that we spent.
I think, if I recall properly, everything we spent on Janneh Commission from the beginning to end was 50 million.
So the entire Janneh Commission expenditure itself, Alpha Capital made more, almost double that price. How reasonable is that for any country?
Yeah, you could say maybe he made. I mean, if you subtract the tax,
that is on
if you subtract the tax and everything,
they paid only what, 2 million? That's what
Yeah, but if you take all of the tax, regardless of how much he got to pay, it would certainly not be more than 9 million. 9 million. So,
well, how reasonable is that for any country?
Well, I don't know, but that's what most people are saying. That's why people are saying that this should have been handled by government itself. You see, but of course, I mean, you know, this is not a fact. It's an argument. It's an argument. So it will, you can say something, and the former minister can take exceptions to that and say, no, I don't think that's appropriate. Like he said, he doesn't think it's appropriate, but we think it's appropriate.
It's appropriate.
So I mean, you know.
Another thing you also brought, you know, the minister.
We are not right. He is not right. We are not wrong. He is not wrong.
But the people will judge.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an opinion.
It's an opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. But one thing also that he pushed back on was his spouse, that in the story, you know, he said, you guys thought she was a sales agent, right? But he said she was never a state agent. Do you really guys have evidence that she was?
Look, we interviewed a lot of people. Like I said, sometimes a lot of things you cannot find them on paper.
But you have,
except if a person is involved in a process. And formally, you know. So what we told him, we spoke to a lot of people, including folks who were at the Ministry of Justice at that time, and they said they found her. They said she was working with Alpha, and so we do not find her signature anywhere, and we didn't say in the story that we found her signature anywhere. Said, but we've collected a lot of testimonies, a lot of different people who said, yeah, we've done. You know, she was a sales agent. I mean, this is not also unusual. I mean, if I am selling land, people who are selling land do have agents all over the place. Who look for individuals for them. Like, for example, she was the one who was supposed to be between. She was the agent for the American embassy in the sale of the. When they wanted to buy a part of the monkey park. So it's not unusual. But I mean, like I said, we don't find any signature anywhere or a proof of our involvement anywhere, but we've collected a lot of testimonies, and so we put it to him. And we also reached out to Binta. We haven't had any response. So we didn't state it as was found on a proof. I mean, on that she was. I mean, we said, a lot of people told us that she was. So.
But where you found a conflict of interest in him was how he was following an allocation for her. And but that time they were not married, but she later became his spouse. How?
No. Well, we didn't even say it's conflict of interest. So, but the people can think.
The people, you didn't say that.
Like, look, what we said was that there were 5 different plots of land that the Ministry of Justice, claimed they wanted the government needed to use. These are 5 different plots of land, different places. Some of them is a compound, I think, or something like that. And, you know, then that property, they made a request before Amina to release the property.
To release the property?
Not just the property, but many
all
others. 5.
5 of them.
One of them is in Tanje, one of them is duplex area. And so Amina told them, no, I can't do this because you've not brought me any forfeiture order. This is Janneh Commission has not concluded any investigation. I cannot, you know. And Amina wrote a petition. And in fact, Amina, the Chief Justice, in fact, had a meeting with Amina and Justice Jete over this matter. Because Amina wrote the petition to the Chief Justice.
Chief Justice.
Yeah, when it happened. And so when I went to Justice Jete, and Justice Jete told me, this was an abuse of process. And of course, Justice Jete does have a problem with the word blindfold.
Blindfolded.
So he told me that, Mustapha, I have a problem with the word blindfold. I said, but I didn't say. You
said that.
Said blindfold. That's our own word. If you tell me somebody brought me a case, but he hadn't given me enough information he only gave me information necessary for me to make a certain judgment that he wants. Then that
is blindfolding.
That person only give you information only relevant for you to make a certain judgment. That person didn't give you all the information you needed. So the impression, it's clear in his court that had they given me all the info, I would have asked them to go and appeal the judgment. Yeah, I would not have, because they open a temporal file, so I was not seized with all the facts. Yeah. So in fact, he used a phrase, there was no full frank disclosure.
Full frank disclosure.
Exactly. So we interpret that to mean they misled the court to release those products. And that is where Moab was allocated. And when Moab was allocated, this was investigated by the parliament.
Yeah.
And some of the media houses that apparently came out to counter us, they reported on that Moab's allocation, but they didn't know the background story.
They didn't know the background.
Yeah. So when we come and put some context to it now, because it's not a nice story to them or for them, they now come to but people are people anyway. I mean, so the allocation was made on one of those properties, and Moab, according to the parliamentary investigation, which is online, Moab did not pay the levy that they were supposed to pay until 1 year later, when a petition was filed. So the parliament concluded that Moab would likely not have paid that levy if the petition was not made public. Yeah. So we thought that's an important thing to let the people know. Now, we didn't make any judgment. We didn't say anything. We didn't make any insinuation. Of course, we spoke to some people who made some insinuations, and so that's it.
That's it. The Justice Janneh part, I want to come there, right? Because, when the story came out, a lot of us, we don't read, right? People started going after him and making it look like he was, and the story did not put it that way, but it's the perception, right?
Look, I had a meeting with Justice Janneh over that. I went to see him at the office because he had his own concerns.
Yeah.
And I told him, I don't know whether, because I told him, clearly that, some of those issues that are raised are not in our story.
They are not.
Yeah, but I understood people made their own list of people who are implicated.
Yeah.
We didn't write a story to
implicate anyone.
We're not state investigators.
Yeah.
Or police, criminal investigators. We don't write stories to implicate people. We write stories. So people implicate people. So that's not our business. We take exceptions to that. I mean, of course, people can make whatever they want to make of whatever we publish. It's in the public.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and people. We're not angels. If people are subject of our work, they can fight back. They can, write back and say, well, this is wrong. And we publish it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And the minister did that. You read his rebuttal. First, he said you didn't give him enough time, and he was kind of what did he say? He was not giving enough time, and he also raised some other questions. What's your response to some of the issues that he raised?
Like not giving enough time.
Yeah, you didn't give him enough time.
Well, 5 days is enough time to respond to a media query, and the fact that you respond and I provided this information, I gave them this lead, they didn't follow. If you follow the TRRC, there are people who would probably want to volunteer and provide. SAFA says, okay, we have to move on, and they insist they have to say it.
Yeah.
It's because the information you're volunteering is not relevant to my context. It's not relevant to the information. It's not, it's information, it's information. Like there is information that is useful information. If you provide me information that's just sending me on some wild goose case, or you provide information that's important but on a different context, then I don't need that lead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily mean that if you give me 10 pages, how many pages can a story be? You see. So, but he had 5 days, and and I think we were very fair. After we did our story, I sent it to my colleagues and said, read it, independently, because we have independent fact checkers at any story. So for example, if I'm doing this story, I make sure other people who have not done the story, have no connection to it, read it and give me their own independent feedback. So if they think I am wrong or I am biased towards this individual, then we correct it. Yeah. So but those people read it as though they are not members of the team. Yeah, they read it as independent of the team.
The team.
Yeah. So, and we have a lot of people. We have lawyers, we have activists, we have all sort of people who read stories when we do them, and so yeah. I mean, 5 days is good enough to be able to answer some of those questions. I think so. Yeah.
Now, the aftermath when the story came, the Ministry of Justice, because government is transition, but I was the minister. But now Darboe Jallow is there. They issued a statement, and it was short, precise. What they said was the process was transparent. They believe they followed due process, and that was their response. And at first, this followed a series of protests, and then the president came to address. What stood out for you from the ministry statement and that of the presidential address?
Well, they are different. So the government kept changing its position on the state of affairs or on the facts.
Yeah.
One day said, "Oh, the Republic has got it wrong," and second, when these boys took to the street, then they started changing a little bit, conceding. When they started releasing the evaluation reports and all the other reports. Then they thought, oh, we can no longer hold the fortress.
Yeah.
Let's throw some other people on that
under
side.
the post. Yes.
And so, yeah. I think that's how I saw it. I mean, initially it was denial.
Yes.
And that was going to be very uncomfortable for us.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because we rose up against the beast, because there were a lot of influential people who were connected to what happened.
Yeah.
And so whether or not they are implicated, they feel uncomfortable with what we have written. And so we were on a very tough receiving end.
Yeah.
And so it was going to be tough. But when the young boys went out and forced the state, because there are a lot of documents we cannot publish.
Yeah.
Because if you publish, people are going to know that, oh, this is the one who gave him this. This is one.
Yeah.
Because government documents, when they move, they get stamped.
Yes.
So it's easy to know. So, but when they were forced to publish the documents themselves, right? Then they themselves said, I mean, now
we have to
change the story from it was totally okay that to now there might have been issues. Not necessarily there were issues. But initially they said there might have been issues, but then they keep changing.
But the president, before I even come to the information minister, the president said for the first time he's getting to know about, from this story, he's getting to know about some of the sales of the Janneh Commission. He didn't get everything. That's what he said. And then he said, the ministerial committee that was set up was transparent and was transparent and
was
lawful.
Above board, yeah.
He said lawful.
Because the ministerial committee is actually authorized by the president.
Ooh.
Yeah. The minister wrote to the president. Yeah. Former minister wrote to the president.
Yeah.
And the president authorized the establishment of the ministerial committee. So the president, that is right
so
under
that
his
was
foot.
Right behind
he cannot throw that
he
one
cannot
out.
throw it under the bus.
The ministerial committee is connected to the president. But Janneh Commission, I mean, I don't like to presume things. So he may be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the president may be right. I saw even people making fun of Ismaila. I think he may be right. You never know. What I know, that's what I talk about.
Yeah.
So what we know is that the Janneh Commission sold some things.
Yeah.
Right? And according to Janneh Commission, even the inventory of the vehicles is attached to their report.
Yeah.
Okay. But these attachments are not published. So the thing is either Janneh Commission remove the attachments or that the Ministry of Justice remove the attachments.
But this is
But they were supposed to be part of
but
it.
Mustapha,
So you cannot, if the president said, because everything we published essentially should have been published.
But Mustapha,
because that is what the report pretends to show.
But Mustapha, let me come right there.
Yeah.
I had Dr. Gajigo yesterday because he's traveling, so I recorded him yesterday. We talked about this. The Janneh Commission report, I think it's volume 4, Jammeh's companies, where it is. The ministry had it, we can confirm, because they printed it.
No, they have.
But they printed only a few copies.
Yeah.
And it looked like somebody just came and bought all of that. And when that happened, they didn't print it again. All other appendix, all other documents were reprinted and people were buying, but that volume was not available at the printing department.
Yes.
People confirmed that.
Yes.
So if the ministry were able to print at least even one copy, that can confirm to us that the Janneh Commission had given it to them. Because they were the one printing. It was the ministry.
No, that one.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
And then the same
They even have soft copies, because I have a soft copy.
But
I have a soft copy of volume.
But it's not on their website.
Yes, it's not there.
Because the reason why I got to know about it.
But I know they have a full copy of volume 4.
They have a full copy of volume 4. But the volume 4 is not on their website.
Yeah, it's still not there. But I think they will put it there.
But listen, we have to clarify this.
Yeah, well, it's not there.
Because
volume 4 has been a long-standing issue. In fact, people have always told them to put volume 4
because
there.
The reason why I think it's important to clarify this, we have to be very, you and I, this is what you do for a living, to investigate, to poke on the missing links. This is what you do. So if the ministry had one time printed volume 4, that automatically tells me and you that they have volume 4.
Yes.
If they had printed volume 3, that automatically tells me and you they have volume 3.
Yes.
And this is where all these things are that the president is saying he didn't know.
No. This is how I understand it.
Okay.
Now, the volume 3, volume 4, the president says he has that.
Mm-hmm.
He said he has the Janneh Commission reports.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Now, we have to see what the Janneh Commission, that is why I said there are things that were wrong, whether they were deliberate or otherwise.
Okay.
But they were wrong.
Okay.
Janneh Commission should have made a special report on sale.
Okay.
Right?
Special report on sales.
Yes.
Okay.
Special reports on sale, volume 10. Right? This would have been published.
Okay.
Yeah? They should have also made a special inventory of everything Jammeh owns. It would have been published. It would have saved us the trouble. But if you make appendixes, and apparently these appendixes were either not submitted or they were removed. So if the president said, I don't have a copy, I can't go to him and scold him and say, Mr. President, I think you do. Because I may be wrong.
Well,
let's just say, look, let's just say, between the commission and the former minister and the president, someone maybe
that's where it happened. Between the commission, a transit damning. Commission
it came from the commission.
The commission or a direct contact is the former justice minister.
Well, not just the former minister, the
ministry. And the ministry is the chief legal advisor to the president. So any document Janneh Commission gives goes to the ministry, and the ministry advises the president on what they have received. So this is where it is. Now, if the president said he doesn't have it, we can excuse him to say maybe the Janneh Commission did not give it to the ministry, or maybe the ministry didn't think that was necessary to give to the president.
But you see, here is my problem. Here is my problem. And that's why I have a problem when they say, oh, everything is above board, we are fully transparent. The Janneh Commission report says in the body, this appendixes, inventories, sales report, it's attached. Why is it not published? They said it's attached. It's an appendix. It's
attached here.
So it's part of the report.
It's part of the report.
So someone removed it.
Someone removed it.
Yeah.
And who removed it?
Well, whoever removed it didn't want people to see it. And if you don't want people to see something,
there
has to be a problem.
And who removed it?
I don't know.
That's the question now. Can you do that investigation?
Well, I
Who
don't know.
removed that appendix?
But
That
if
is the
the
big
commission
question.
says in the body of the report it's attached,
It's attached.
it's there.
It's there.
Yeah.
But who removed it?
Yeah. So it's either the commission removed it themselves,
Or
that, and in any case, the Ministry of Justice said they did not have those appendixes. These things they publish are not reports on sale.
Okay.
The reports of Janneh Commission on sale is written.
It's written.
The report,
I saw two
the one
reports.
the one that the ministry published. Okay, it's when you do an auction, you write a list of the buyers.
The buyers, yes.
That's the nitty-gritty of things.
Yeah.
That's the finer details. That's the list of the buyers and what they bought. The report is different from that. The report is not published still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The report on the sale of the vehicle and the tractors is not published.
It's not published. Okay.
So the issue is that is what, for us, that's what our story is about. Our story is about lack of transparency.
Lack of transparency.
Yes, and that is what we thought would be the takeaway. Well, people have their own ways of what people want to make. People want to make different things, and for us, that's not our business.
That's not the business.
Yeah,
the business is the processes were not transparent. They were
so whether or not these were deliberate or not,
but
that's not our.
And we can make.
So you see, this is
part. Yeah, I know this. I've seen this report. Yes.
Yeah. So now this is the report on the sale.
Yeah.
Right. Of the tractors and the vehicles. This is a report.
This is a report. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What they publish right now should have been accompanying this one.
Okay.
So it's because you're saying, okay, we sold vehicles, we recovered this much. So you didn't tell me the number of vehicles you sold. So now you go into the valuation. This is the number of vehicles we sold, the brand, the people who bought them at this time, at what price,
Yeah.
Now that is attached to this.
There is.
Yeah.
Is there a case of also a proper management of these documents? Because I can confirm to you that, even the ministry, when the young people went out, they were struggling to get hold of everything. They were calling people from the commission, asking for...
That is what that's why Ismaila was saying, even the report we published, we got it from people who were working at the commission.
But yeah, they got it from people that had their own personal records.
Yeah.
But the truth is...
But that they were right about. Ismaila is right about.
Yes, that is true. No, but what Ismaila said was, we got it from people who, did the sales. But this, I can confirm that the Justice Ministry did reach out to people that were working on the commission to help them with information because they didn't have a comprehensive report.
Yes.
But
or either they have it and it's lost.
It's lost. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
It was the proper management because I do know this conversation. The person told them, look, but we handed all of these things you are asking. He said, yeah, I did not. We didn't get this. Can you just help us?
Yeah, but who can confirm that? Because Dauda was not there.
Dauda was not there.
But Tomasi was there.
Tomasi was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tomasi should have, but also Bingadi should have been able to confirm some of those things.
Yeah.
If they were happening.
So that's what I'm saying.
So that's why I said, for us, we haven't felt that we've written anything.
Yeah, yet.
For us, what we have tried to do is to tell the Gambian people, how about we start a conversation on this?
Yeah.
Right? And go back to the beginning and start from fresh.
Fresh, yeah.
What happened? When Jammeh left, what happened? In terms of governance, in terms of asset recovery, in terms of everything. Let's go back from the beginning.
Yeah. And I'm just getting George that is sending me this. He said, Fatou, I'm inclined to believe that the Janneh Commission provided the appendix. Otherwise, why would the ministry accept an incomplete report that referenced the appendix, but that was not attached? A total miscarriage of justice, or someone failed to do their job to read the report before accepting it. Because obviously, if I'm telling you, Mustapha, attach, for example, I'm attached in this email is this document. If that document is not there, you are not obliged to accept it until I give it to you. So I think that is something, at this point, I'm just going to blame the ministry. Because
yes, I mean, you know,
you cannot do that.
There is a lot of blame to go around.
Yeah, for that part, I'm saying.
Yes, but what we need to say is, because you know, word kumo koleata. Ha. Ninko komi Ismaila e memfo.
Ha.
Sa fo wala mu tonyati ba.
Ha.
Wala mu tonyati.
Konyadi.
Coming, ko ye report o mem publish ya bona mole bu.
Ya bondi mole
mem dabe jenum.
Ha.
Now, baroko.
Bari Ismaila hani Ismaila ma fo nyama. Ismaila ko. Ye report o mem pop. Aku jare commission mila report o be di tolla. I will for Ismaila was not in government.
And na ko amer report
matungala
ba context totally.
Matunga fa mim foi. Ima mandeka ka umai.
Okay.
Nga fo kon. Okay. Iwota badi lo yera ga destak. Ako Janneh Commission ye report o min dealer was not a comprehensive report o be among fenke. Yansa. Ako the sales report ning and sales ning tata nyami ima o dealer. And if a number of folk that was not published, right? So we can say, okay, maybe I mean for Tonyala was. But I mean for a co, it all not any report or sort of more mean from a wafiroke. In you know sort of wallet. But I'm telling you, co, it's not, in fact, this was from senior people of the commission where they got all these documents.
Hambe wala.
And it was so but it was the Solicitor General who even made that call.
Ismaila be wala la wala fo.
Ngama fo nyama.
No ako ya report sales report on ya bo molel bul men fango do ko nyinge. Ha. So abe wala. So Solicitor General la o kendi ngo kolo nying. I me report o ta meni bolo. Ha. Abe wala aka wala fo.
Hani baroma wafiro.
No moma wafiro ke bar wol dal be jeko.
Okay.
If they were working with the commission.
Okay.
They were part of it. So Ismaila be wala. Yam family.
Yeah.
Okay, so baro fana nako sales report ako Janneh Commission e menke o mom futa atema.
Okay.
Now we can go ahead and say no, this doesn't look likely.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Ntorfana Mello, Wallen, we have a report or appendix also.
Appendix also.
Now, Alonko, Wallman publish. Okay?
Yeah.
And we'll appendix all, based on the structure and the language of the report, should have been part of the report.
Should have been part of the report.
They are not standalone.
They are part of the report.
They are part of the report.
Yeah.
They are part of the appendix.
Yeah.
Of the report.
Yeah. It's just like Nite email.
Email audit ke. Ha. Ye audit duma ye appendix all keje of the evidences. You know what I mean? Exactly. So either Janneh Commission manual pass on to the ministry or ministry but after that ye jibele ya bondije.
Ha. Woton selano ko president o maje o mutonyalti.
Well, maybe
akamaje. So na kamaje mbe president wala word talent. So mi ya bondije nyanta wala ni president kamaje amaje. So mi
baro panaka kuma jamala po mi. Am politician wala ko mandia.
Amandia.
Yes, so
amandia.
Yeah, nganje nyina kono.
But Mustapha, you know, obviously, Ngabala rebuttal fole, Justice Jail apart for we looked at the commission eventually. The aftermath of all of this. I know you have done so many work that have impacted lives. You know, I remember the first time covering a call. You know what? You know, we did something like this. Stay strong. During OJLA time, there was that was tough.
Yeah.
And we were like,
it's usually like
it's
that.
like that, but I don't think
you
have done anything like this that have made so much impact to the point it brought in the birth of a new movement, the Gala movement.
Yeah.
When you sat down after, and you know, when I was doing the different lives, I just wanted people to know more who you are, because that was important at this point, because there were so many things that were coming.
Yeah, a lot of things were coming.
When you touch people that are
and you know, people say, he destroyed my life, but you know, I also go through a lot.
I was conflicted.
Mom is sending me message. My colleagues are worried about me. My colleagues themselves. I mean, leave work, go home. You know, my colleagues.
And I kept calling you, Mustapha. Sis work on. Can I say?
So I would say, go to the village.
Go to the village. Stay indoors. Don't move. We were doing all of that. We were all worried. We were all concerned because obviously,
yeah, and also there are a lot of people in the background who themselves were involved, and you know, so they also take the heat from different things.
Different things.
Yeah.
But all of this, you know, my grandmother go Fatou Mustapha, Mustapha, and you know, because you know, obviously my dad remembered when we were going to court. I don't go to court. He was like, my dad was recalling all of that. So everybody was just concerned and everything. But through all of this, a lot of things came out. First, I want to look at how things were thrown at you. People say, oh, after Kamola Hajotinya, you know, Mole Hajo, and that really made me laugh. Because now for Mole ko, niya jama muso deal, broke. You're not interested in money. You cannot even pay a proper bride price. So that was funny to me. And that was the most funny thing to me when that narrative came that you were paid to do a story. And I said, you don't know
so
that.
I mean, some folks, they told my colleague, Talib, you know, they told Talib at that time. You know, so Talib told them, no, you know, I know Mustapha, he wouldn't do that. You know, Talib and I go back many years, I mean, a decade or more. And so, I mean, you know, we've had those kind of things. But then, you know, also, if you hold, you know, there is a person who says that, because when these old things are coming at you, your biggest enemy is not them. Is your ego.
Yeah, ego.
Yeah, is the person within you. Yeah, who's telling you your self-esteem is in the line. Respond to them. Go back, talk, punch back. You know, it's your ego. You know, and the best you manage your own ego, the better you are able to deal with it. And so if you think that you both bored, nobody should say anything to them, don't say anything against anybody. And so we go through it like that. I mean, I even a colleague of mine published a story and he was saying, no, you know, they're telling me this. I said, calm down. You wrote about people, so people are going to fight back. So you have to, if you say, who do they think they are? You should say also, who do I think I am? You know, because that's how you handle it. That balance, you know, between who people think they are and how you think you are, you know, or who you think you are. So that we've learned to handle it over time, you know. So at some point you are able to control your ego to a point when somebody says you are insignificant, you smile and walk away. And so some things get at you, but you know, a lot of the times you're able to survive it. And you know, also, I mean, there are some things people say they themselves don't believe. For example, if you come and say, I have been bribed. So for example, I've been doing this for a long time. I have also worked with colleagues who've been doing this for a long time. I work in a team of 5. At most at the basic level 4, with a lot of other people around us. And I'm pretty sure if you go to any one of those and tell them Mustapha took a bribe, they'll tell you, nah, that is not, tell us something else, right? And so when I got the assurance, and I know the people around me, and I know what they know about me. And so I'm able to handle that. If I have my own team members second guess me, then I'll be worried. I'll be worried. But then over the period, you know that if the allegation is coming from outside, people will get over it. So for example, there are times you publish a story, people say you are UDP. And you know how to handle it. You just keep quiet. And over time, you publish another story, and some people come from UDP and say, he's a PDIS fanatic. I saw someone say, I'm a PDIS fanatic. I mean, so those kind of things, they keep sifting, and you know. So.
And that's when you know you're doing good. When the accusation comes from all the different angles. It depends who you're touching today. So I think that is it. But
and you know, you have to also consider the possibility that, I mean, you know, there is a side of the story that you have not told. And so when someone else come to tell that story, you should give that person a space so that all of the truth all of the truth is in the public space. And that whoever believes want to believe whatever believes that. You know, If others don't believe you, that's okay.
Yeah.
Your name is not written in the Quran. You know what you've said is not written in the Quran. So if people don't believe it, then that's okay.
That's okay.
If they believe you, then that's okay.
That's okay.
So if they don't believe you, they will believe the other story that's been told.
That's been told.
So that's why it's just important to be able to handle it. It's not the easiest thing to handle, but it's
not.
I mean,
It's not.
yeah.
Now, when the story came out, the Media Council invited you, right? I remember we spoke about it before, and you went to meet them, and this is something which is normal practice, because I remember we have been summoned by the Media Council. People have complained about a story that we did, and we met. I was lucky. I met with them here in my office. They told me the concerns, and I told them my concerns. We went back and forth, and it was addressed at some point, right? But you met members of the Media Council. I remember when you met them. After that, we had a conversation. So I was not surprised when I saw the GPU. Exactly what I had heard was what was in the GPU press statement. Now that encounter, because the Media Council came out to say all those things that were said were not true. The Human Rights Commission also came out and said, trying to put the commission's integrity in to say, you know, their integrity. But for me, you know, when their statement came out, because their statement came out first, my first concern, I remember I was doing a live video with Mahdi and the others, with Mahdi and Omar Wali at that time when the statement came. When I read through the statement, it was live, and I said, look, with all due respect to the Human Rights Commission, the GPU did not address the Human Rights Commission directly. They were talking about the chairman of the Human Rights Commission. So the statement that the Human Rights Commission wrote, it was directly injecting themselves in a conversation that they were, yes, the chairman is their chairman, but he was addressed in his individual capacity. That's how I saw it. And I was not satisfied with their response.
That's why they said the leaders.
Yeah.
Leaders of the NHRC.
The leaders.
The leaders. So they didn't say the Human Rights Commission.
Yes.
Because I wasn't called by the
You
Human
were not
Rights
called by the Human Rights Commission. Now tell us about that encounter. What happened?
So I was at the GPU, I was working at around 10 minutes after 8 p.m.
10 minutes after 8.
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
I was at the union. I was working, and Emil called me. You know, when he called me, he said, "Mustapha, we want to meet you, the Media Council."
Yeah.
And he said at the NHRC. I've never met the Media Council before. I don't know how they do this.
Yeah.
I've heard about their meeting with other people. And when they said NHR office, so that morning, because some people were saying a lot of things about Justice Jete, so he was also worried.
Yes,
so I went to see him.
Justice, yeah.
That morning I went to see Justice Jete, just to tell him, well, look, some of the things you've heard are not in our story, actually. They're just people making Facebook posts.
About,
and there's nothing we could do about that. And so my colleague called me and told me about a conversation he had had with Ba the night earlier.
The night earlier. Batambid.
Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't know at the time what the Media Council invited me for.
Okay.
Right? And I could forward you the email I sent to them and the email I sent to Gambia Press Union and the response the Gambia Press Union sent to me.
Yeah.
The Media Council never replied to my email because I wrote to email and I copied Babukar. You know, I saw their interviews and they're going around saying whatever they want. Ntata, within Tata, I went there, I sat. So when I was at the reception, look, is Emil here? And so they told me. So one of them told me, I had the chair is in the meeting. I said, chair? I said, I'm not here to meet the chair of the National Human Rights Commission. I'm here to meet the Media Council. I said that they wouldn't be aware of that, but I said that to somebody at the reception.
Yeah.
When I walked in, I found so it's around their table at their conference hall or something. Emmanuel was seated there. Emil and Babukar were seated here. Yeah, I sat facing Emil. Emmanuel is sitting here. Babukar is sitting there. And so Emmanuel laid the ground, what people said.
What people said, or
Yeah.
what the report said?
No, he said that we call you in connection to the story, of course. This is the, so he ran through all the issues that I wrote to the GPU about the perception, about everything. If you like, I can read the email.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, well, the misconceptions. One, they didn't tell me that there was any formal complaint.
From Batambedo?
Yes.
Okay.
And two, they didn't tell me there were any ethical issues in my story or any shortfalls or factual error that needs to be corrected. They didn't tell me
They didn't say any of these?
No. But they went around about perceptions my story have had, the stakes are high, by saying he's considering a lawsuit, and that his family is being harassed, and that and you know, a lot of things like the GP, like I told the GPU.
Yeah.
So I told them, okay. I told them, well, we did our best to be able to tell our story the best way we can, and the best way we think is fair to all parties. It's unfortunate if Ba doesn't think it's fair to him, and in either case, when he wrote back to us, we discouraged them. We published it too, and he also said that with other platforms who published it.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have anything against those platforms, even though we both know it's unethical to
It's unethical because we did not publish your story.
But
so that's why the rebuttal from Ba, we never published it.
But you know, I mean, for us, you know, we've been doing this for a lot of time now, so we are used to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so we said, I said, well, this is what the situation is as far as I'm concerned. I told them we had a meeting at around 1 hour, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I left. I went back to the union. When I went, I informed the Secretary General.
Yeah.
I'm a member of the Gambia Press Union.
We all are, yeah.
Everything that, if you call me tonight and say, Mustapha, I'm going to kill you tomorrow, the first person I'm going to call is the Secretary General of the Gambia Press Union.
Yeah.
That's how we work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I called, when I went, I explained it to the Secretary General, and he asked me to write to him. So I write him an email explaining everything.
Everything.
Yeah? And and at the bottom of the email, I can read you the email, and I told the Secretary General, I'm seeking your I mean, of course, I will talk to my team members about this, and our team of advisors and all the guys who are part of our team, you know, the loose members. But we would be happy to also hear from you. And the Secretary General, the GPU, they summoned an emergency meeting, the GPU with the board members, and they took a position that this is wrong. Right?
Yeah.
And you see, people didn't know. The first thing was the Media Council operates on complaint.
Yes.
So if Ba is aggrieved, he should have filed a formal complaint before the Media Council.
Yeah.
So the Secretariat will receive it. The ethics panel would adjudicate it. It's a 3-member panel.
Yeah.
Once they are done, they will call me and they will present the findings to me.
Yeah.
If I am aggrieved, if I am displeased by their ruling, I will appeal to the Media Council, to the Governing Council.
To the Governing Council.
Babukar sits at the Governing Council, so it's more like a court of appeal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the ethics panel is like the High Court. Yeah.
Yeah.
We respect those procedures.
Yeah.
And that's why I went.
Yeah.
You know, it was a tough time, but I went.
But the thing is, the first red flag here was they did tell you that Ba did not
file a complaint.
Any complaint against you.
But Emmanuel later said that Ba called him, and also he called Emil. That's what Emmanuel later said.
But my thing is here.
So when I wrote, see, I think it's important.
It's important for you to write, because my thing here is, what is the role of the Human Rights Commission in this?
Now, when I wrote to the GPU, to the Media Council, when I wrote to Emil, that's what I told him.
Yeah.
I told him
that
the first thing is that you called me. You didn't tell me anything is wrong in my story.
This was after your meeting with them?
It was after my meeting.
You wrote to them?
Because I told them that I am going to sit down with my team members.
And before we go to the letter and everything, after telling you there was no formal complaint, after telling you there was no ethical issues with your story,
well, I wouldn't know whether they think there is ethical issues, but they haven't said it.
But they haven't said it. Yeah. They haven't said it openly to you. What was the conclusion of the meeting? What were they seeking from you to do?
Oh, yeah. So they said that we should issue a statement with Bar to say that, because their position is that my report did not indict Bar. And for us, I've never written a story and say we've done a story that indicted somebody or party. That's not in my, that's not our business.
That is not your business.
We just write our reports, and whether or not they indict individuals, that's an opinion others hold.
So
that's
they told you your story did not indict Bar?
But they want me to write, they needed us to write
a statement. Did they want a joint statement? Or?
Yes. They said they wanted a joint statement.
With Bar?
Yes.
To say
Bar,
what?
To say that our report did not indict Bar, you know, and so, yeah, so they said our report did not indict Bar, and I said, well, we would go, and I told them I will go and I will have a meeting with my colleagues, and then once we have a meeting with my colleagues, then I would come back to you on this.
But why that response from you though? Because number one, you know very well, in fact, after writing a story like that, it's not ethical to do. Why would you do a joint statement with Bar in the first place?
Well, you know, this whole thing was not. It was wrong, and so so GPU wrote back to me. I'm just looking at
the email.
Juve's response now to say that this is what we will do. And so they took a hit at GPU. GPU didn't do anything wrong. GPU acted on
what you told them.
On what I told them. And GPU did write to them. Even me, I wrote to them, and I didn't get any response.
GPU also wrote to the Media Council?
GPU wrote to them, yes. Juve would not issue a statement without writing to the Media Council.
Yeah.
It's not. That's
not him. Yeah.
Juve would not do that. So the way so the issue is that
we are looking at the email.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the email I sent to Emil himself.
Oh, you sent an email to Emil?
Yes. I sent an email to Emil, to tell them that, that we would not be doing this. Okay, so I sent that email at 15:57. And it's right here. I can
read it out aloud. Yeah.
So I said that, good evening, Mr. Emil Touray. I said, let me first start by appreciating the conversation over our recent story, which, among other things, detailed the sale of the assets of ex-President Yahya Jammeh. The Media Council is a self-regulatory body. We journalists, in bracket, established and are certainly obliged to respond when it calls.
Yeah.
Before I delve into the issues, I must state that we have our concerns. When I received your call, you informed me that I was requested to a meeting with the Media Council of the Gambia. But while Mr. Babukar Cham, I said my former boss and a good friend of mine, because Babukar was city limit,
he's my uncle too.
I was going there at the time, and we had a history. And yourself are members of the council, Mr. Emmanuel Juve, the chair of the National Human Rights Commission, and a friend of Mr. Tambedu is not a member of the council. are certainly not in any place to neutrally speak on any matter affecting Tambedu. And I said, secondly, based on my understanding, the role of the Media Council is to intervene in matters of ethical or professional misconduct. Those such discussions should center on the content of a publication, pointing out clear cases of misconduct and seeking explanation where available, and demanding or depending on the evidence supporting the appeal of the complainant, demand a correction. This was not what the meeting was about. The suggestion that the content was misleading or that the former minister did not have enough time to respond is an opinion Mr. Tambedu holds. And he did inform me and Talibe Hydra, the news editor of the Republic, about that. Our meeting, in fact, about the perception of our story was about the perception our story created and opinion others had after reading the content. Thirdly, there was two major problematic insinuations. It is that there are rumors I might have been bribed, which frankly which frankly I said is laughable. And the second insinuation is that if we fail to do this statement, the former minister could consider legal actions. I said, well, legal action is open to any person who is aggrieved in the Republic. Yeah. Meanwhile, I had adequate conversation with my colleagues and our editorial advisors, and we resolved that we could not issue any joint statement with ex-Minister Tambedu, and we take no responsibility for how people read and interpret our work. This work satisfied our editorial standards. In appreciation of the work of the Council and in the service of the Republic, we remain. And Mustapha K. Darboe. Wow. This is the end of
this. Was written to Emil.
This is the statement I wrote to Emil.
And he never responded?
You could see it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. This was on the 7th of May.
Yeah, on 7th of May. This is the day after the meeting.
But he never responded. No,
they never. You can see if there is a response.
There's never responded.
There is response. It will be underneath this.
Yeah.
It's a professional image.
Yeah.
It's not. They
never
responded.
Respond.
No, they did respond. The GPU wrote to the two people, and so they came crashing. You know, they were emotional about it.
Especially when you raised something that was pertinent to Emily, you made it clear to him.
We had our own concerns.
No, I mean, Emily Touray, you made it clear to him that, number one, the chairman of the Human Rights Commission is not part of the Media Council.
Yeah, and I was invited to a Media Council
meeting. Yeah. But secondly, considering that the chairman is the personal friend to the former minister, Tambedu, he was not in a proper position to be able to adjudicate properly
or in my interest.
Because obviously, because of the...
There are a lot of things that I think had happened. And, you know, like I said, even when you are in charge of dispensation of justice, there are things that I think happened that we also believe were unfair to us. But the reason why we don't feel that necessary to say is because, you know, it's not relevant.
It's not relevant.
It's personal to me.
Yeah.
And so,
and this is always what I tell people. I am a newsmaker. I don't want to be ever the news. And this is the scenario. Because I know we have had a lot of conversations. I know there have been a lot of issues. Which if you had raised,
we could also,
if you had raised,
we are also interested in, I mean, if all I am interested in is to destroy an individual, ruin the capacity, the popularity of an individual, and for money, I mean, I wouldn't need to take a lot of time to do that. Really, I usually am in custody of a lot of information, lot of it. I mean, you know, if I just want to ruin a politician, and do it fast,
it's gotta be,
and you know, without any other consideration, I mean, I could do that for pretty much any known person in the Gambia. But you know, you don't want to do that. I mean, we don't publish what we don't think is relevant to the public, you know, and we do so in the best interest of what we think is accountability. And I mean, that's not to say that I mean, I'm Abubakar Siddiq or Umar bin Khattab. I mean, I can't be wrong. I mean, you know, and we can't be wrong. I mean, we can see things wrongly. I mean, you know, but people are people. They go around, they ridicule me, they ridicule Mahdi. I saw even our colleagues saying they were right. They were not right. They were wrong.
No, they were not right.
Emmanuel knows he was wrong.
Yeah. And
what they did was wrong.
And I have said this.
I mean, they could have Ba could have filed a formal complaint before the Media Council.
Yeah.
The ethics panel could have sat on it.
Yeah.
They could review my story.
Yeah.
They could call me and review my story.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I am aggrieved with their judgment, I will appeal it.
Yeah.
So I go to the Media Council. And the Media Council, the Governing Council will take my appeal.
That's the process.
And that's the process. That could be done.
Yeah.
But when you call me into this kind of thing and, you know, you make me look like a fool, and now I go and tell the union what happened, you now even come and say, no, that didn't happen. So it means I have lied to the union
and the entire nation.
Yeah, so that is why Emil called me. I didn't pick, and Dudu Bojang told me, and he called me, and I said I'm not talking to him again.
Yeah, because he made me look like a liar.
He made me look like a fool.
Yeah,
you cannot do this. You know, I don't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you call me, you tell me something, I go and report that to the union, and now you are saying you didn't tell me that. So the meeting was without an objective, in a sense.
So what exactly?
So that means that they just called me and raised these issues and didn't ask me to do anything. So the meeting was without an objective.
But that same,
it is wrong.
But that same thing was said.
I was very angry about it, but you know, that is why I didn't want to speak.
You didn't want to speak at the time.
Early.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to just say anything, you know, because I mean, what is it? What would I have been respond? You know, somebody texted me and I told him, you know, there was a guy who was in a battle, and he put down a soldier, an opponent, and was about to strike him, and the opponent spit on him, and he got up and pushed the opponent, and after the battle, his soldiers came around him and told him, Captain, why did you do that? You should. He told him, because when he spit on me, I didn't strike him because inside me I didn't know if I was going to kill him for the cause or for my ego. So I mean, when you're angry, you just take it, you know. Yeah. So I was pissed, like really, really very pissed. I mean, you cannot call me into a meeting and then you are now going and tell people you don't, you know, whether or not, the language, you see, the interpretation of what happened, whether or not it was interpreted as intimidation, that was not what I said. Yeah. But the GPU is a press freedom organization. Yeah. GPU has its own standards of how it looked at facts. Yeah. That I don't tell the GPU. Yeah. But the GPU's job is a press freedom activist. Yeah. Is to analyze the environment and look at the threats there are to press freedom and to journalists. Yeah. So if you've made a contextual analysis and determined that this is a threat to the journalists, he's at total liberty to say that.
And first thing, Mustapha, for me, as somebody who have dealt with the media,
and it's not Juve, by the way, it's the media, it's the GPU, it's the board.
For a board, from the president to the last person. Yeah. And for me, the first thing that really I have dealt with the Media Council. Somebody has to file a complaint first to say, oh, Mustapha's story did this to me. Kerr Fatou, you guys wrote a story and did this to me, and filed a complaint to the Media Council. That is when they act. Yeah. The Media Council doesn't just get up and say, oh, the story you wrote about Ba, the timing is wrong. I think people's perception about it is this. Maybe we should issue a statement. That is not their role. We have to establish that.
Well, yes, but you know, even if, let's even suppose that the Media Council was supposed, I mean, for me, you know, I am open to giving people latitude, or institutions latitude. So the Media Council could, if Ba is aggrieved, the Media Council could call me. I mean, if it's a fair way of doing things, they could call me. Yeah. But let us be truthful. If you call me to a meeting, it's a Media Council meeting. I should have a Media Council meeting.
Yeah, not
Don't bring another person into the meeting. And then you tell me you made an unusual act. I go and report that to the union. The union determine that this is wrong, and we're going to issue a statement. And they asked me not to write to them and tell them you're not going to do this.
Yeah.
That was the position of the union.
Yeah.
I could have wrote to you what the Secretary General told me. Not only did he reply, he also told me the course of actions they were
going to take.
Yes.
And you don't have control over that.
No.
Yeah.
So when the media, well, don't make me look like a liar.
A liar.
You know, and make me look like I misled the union into, it's wrong.
Is it because in defense of the Media Council? Is it because they felt the timing was wrong? Ba was applying for a position that is being sponsored by the Gambia government, not sponsored but nominated by the Gambia government, and then this could affect that appointment. Do you think that was also something?
Yeah, I mean, if that is an opinion, if that is a position they hold, that might as well be very legitimate.
Yeah.
But in any case, for me, I'm not interested in vilifying positions people hold. And I think that this is important. Like, people can hold, I mean, I can't be wrong. So people can hold opinion that I am wrong. Like I said, what I say is not the word of the Quran.
It's not.
Yeah, but let's be truthful. Let's be frank. Let's not be like that. If I said this, that's that. That's that. So when you are going to call me into a meeting, I mean, Emmanuel in himself, in his own capacity, can call me into a meeting as an individual, as a person, and say, I think this is what you did. And, because the way you are a public officer, the way I'm also a public officer.
Yeah.
So he could hold me to account based on what he think I did wrong or right. Yeah. So you could do that. So there's nothing wrong with that. But it's always the way you do things. And when someone comes and say, well, he did, this happened, if it did happen, don't go and say, no, it didn't happen. Then you make me look like a fool.
And that is not right.
No, that's not right.
I think that was...
I felt offended and, yeah.
I mean, and I know this might be a very tough decision for you because, I remember when you spoke, you told me how Babukar was like an uncle. He was your former boss. You have so much,
Yeah, I mean, I consider him a friend. I do not think that I wouldn't even say they are wrong.
Yeah.
I just say that it
was problematic. The way...
The word was that the procedure was not right.
Yeah.
And so I'm not privy to what they are privy to.
Okay.
To make that decision.
But
and
was
so
it...
when I reach out to the union, the best I could have expected from them was to say, well, yeah, we did this, but this is the basis for what we did.
We did.
Yeah, but that would have been okay. I mean, I'm not interested in vilifying
anybody.
Yeah, so they could have access to a certain information that they felt in their frame of mind. I mean, whether or not this is wrong or right. I mean, without having to go there. I mean,
but was it right, finally, on the Media Council meeting, was it right to demand for a media house who have written a story that they have researched to say, do a joint statement with the...
No. That was not something that... It's an unusual act.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's an unusual act. So, I mean, I don't know why they say it and what informed it. And, context matters. So I don't know what context they have for their acts, for what they asked. But what my problem was when they, without saying who is right or wrong, without saying whether I am the one right or they are the one wrong, what was wrong is that they shouldn't have said that what I said was a lie.
Yeah, because it's not.
Because it's not. Yeah. I mean, I have my, I have my notebook here.
Yeah.
And because I take notebooks.
Yeah.
I mean, I take my days things and also things that I need to do.
Yeah.
So you could see so okay. So you see, this is a conversation, right?
Yeah.
This is meeting of the Media Council, May 6, 2025, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, Emil Touray called me at 10, 10 minutes after 8 p.m. on me, you know, informing me about the meeting. I take proper accounts of everything. So this is Emmanuel Diouf, Babukar Cham, Emil Toure.
Yeah.
This is Media Council. Then I said, yeah, this is the date.
And then you said,
this is EJ,
conversation.
Emmanuel Diouf, conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. This is narrative. There are negotiation roles, like he's saying.
Intended consequences.
Yeah. So he's saying my article have unintended consequences. So that's why I wrote in unintended consequences. Is putting Batambedu under the spotlight. This is Emmanuel. I may have ulterior motives. That's what people are saying. That Ba said his response was not given due consideration. Some people said I had already a preconceived notion about Batambedu.
And people had paid.
Yes. Some people paid, you know.
Yeah.
And Ba is a person of high representation, nominated for George at ICJ.
Yeah.
A lot is at stake. Yes.
So this was all the conversations that Emily said.
Yeah. No, the Emmanuel was saying.
Yeah.
I have not given due consideration to his answers. Mustapha Darboe is against Batambedu. He's saying that's what the perception of the people might have. So, you know, this is for Babukar, this is for Emil, this is for Babukar, this is for Emmanuel, you know, this is Babukar, this is Emil, the emails. I took account of everything.
Yeah.
So when I come and write to the union to seek the advice of the Secretary General, which if I am in trouble, it is the GPU that's going to come to my defense.
They are there for all of us.
Yes. So even if, for example, I am to hire a lawyer, I have to go to GPU.
Yeah.
Whatever I do, if you call me tonight, if you text me, if I receive a strange text tonight,
it's the GPU.
I will copy that and send it to the GPU. Yeah. The only thing I wouldn't tell them is what I do in my house.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is usual.
Yeah. This is
so
usual.
If I write to the GPU and the GPU, the Secretary General determined that this is wrong and summoned an emergency board meeting, and the GPU board determined that this is a threat.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you can question whether or not it's a threat. Right? You can question that.
Yeah.
But don't tell them that what I said is not true.
Because
like that I didn't say that we should issue a joint statement and all of that. And but that's part of the things that that they said, you know. And you know, so those are issues that
so unfortunate that happened. Now there is a parliamentary inquiry that is going on. When the president spoke, he said because there's going to be a parliamentary inquiry, because there's a special audit by the National Audit Office, and which I think, I don't know, up to today, we haven't heard of. Because of those two independent bodies doing inquiries, he is not doing anything. He's just going to wait for the recommendations of the National Assembly and the National Audit Office, and he will implement. Are you hopeful that the National Assembly inquiry will give us all the answers that we need?
The thing is that the Gambian people are not ready for the truth. People, it's not just the president, it's everybody. I mean, people talk. Mol kadiyam la jambar mol man laf tonya. No, mol be lemudrong. Whether UDP call lembang, NPP call lembang, APRC call lembang. Nim mo drong, nim fengo yet la friend madron. That's what you wala kabori.
Yeah.
You know, mo ye feng for mo madrong. Itema mel like do anyway body. Yo, but tonya ko mol teoto. Yajel. The point is now that the Janneh Commission, they are going to start from the beginning. You understand? All the corrective measures. National Assembly, of course, National Assembly inquiry is very important.
Yeah.
And well, I have faith in National Assembly. I think that they're going to do a good job. But already National Assembly is a product of the political environment, right? So UDP is there, NPP is there, all the others are there. Exactly. And so that political environment at some point, and already you see that people have used this as a point for political point scoring.
Yeah, I'll go from there. Yeah.
You know, so some say, you dipin call land okay, and people call land okay, karu bota jana, kari bota jana. You know, so it's going to be difficult. You've seen the Russian oil thing. Russian oil.
You guys were,
we published that story. They started an inquiry.
Yeah.
We published a story.
Yeah.
And once we connect questionable behavior from State House to the scandal, everybody became cold feet.
And it was
well, now even to have quorum to sit is a problem.
But this is the problem, and this is the reason why people are also concerned about this.
Inquiry dum bitaka nyame jamaka diamu imalo member koma.
Nalonde. Nialo je diamu.
Foran jamala bije. So ni mol ni tata foya long ko nying
aka signal to la area.
Ngara nyama won ko ide. Ni tata fom be tata ngawje.
Oto la
jamala be ko la.
Jamala be ko la.
Mol man kati jang. Mol lengola diata. Gambia no lengola diata. At mo tinde o mansia. Lengola diata rek. Yeah. Ni tata foya long ko za ntela hero fa o dabe ko kono. Ipajela parliament tinyaro kelal di.
And that is
but
that is why Molko Dolko this should have been but National Audit Office.
But how National Audit Office?
Yeah.
Nkanyi memvo tilingo wrong. From one yek tilingo kanu rek ye doku ka tilingo. You know, nkoto wala nyinti mama la nyinti barine nyinti badi wala nyinti nafanko. Mol tiling rek. Ni mol tiling that it will work.
It will work.
Yeah. But National Assembly it will not work. Ninjin kata at a lot of people. Already some people, I've seen some people, you don't name code, they were part of certain things. Now the political members are defending them. But they were part of it. They were part of it. More katra call konya fenkede, come in Niko Mustapha K dawa dabeja. The Jamela nying fenkar nte wosan.
They wasn't.
You ndela broda na kwa dataji. Ima long. Just quiet. Just keep quiet.
Yeah.
You don't know. Don't just defend people because you're connected to them.
Don't do that.
Exactly. So wala problem wote. Imbanko wala problem wote jang. Ba mo jamala tinya jamala keta jang. Ya jame fin jamala ba bulo. Bira fen keta ku jamala keta, you know. They encounter dol so don tata mo dol la bungol kono. Ndunta jedro start ka confess. You know.
The instance that we do for investigate tele batara via ko wala wartala wala
so jamal lel biji you know mo jamal lel bulol nota anantra man sakunda fama bokku dol kalama
yeah
you know mul fota mul tol fota ku jamala fota you know so nin ko benyin ko nyin bita beginning a big nyama kono tama wala nyanta kala fana kon tellel tam
yeah.
You understand? So you lawsuit so ninyin kumbol men yalom beke kam for now nyanta ol pakla kumbo wato man sifuno nim futa dawo nta kumbo wata ntem ba kuma askan so mol nyamma nyana kumbo la sai
mol nyana kumbo
man fen kuma
kuma but reform the futa no la odula because
nyanta futa la
but yefene
bila ngosa amade
yefende fofana minki ya faro warta because more min be investigation on ni yaje ko signal ta dulate ma min kalangolong ni ko jalo fonction be la foran
yes
be kuma so
ma baro fana fa follow data je don fellonje
ko atela cabinet committee wolbe senior men di lawful tale
ako Janneh Commission men kan dama fellon
nte wurta wol fo go he bar kabrin baro fama amanyin kalamta andum ate ta committee cabinet committee wol lawful tale and transparent. I will never forget that word.
Ayalon baro I mo lonne men yalo I bulo bulata fengol fana konolde ayo lonne bari to what extent
amalo
some things I don't lonne de
I don't learn it.
Hako. Ala political opponents wo do la ko do be I don't learn
it.
Wala ne bebe sawarni ko la bari ko well come in that I come in for 12 come for pie chick victory. We all fight to death. ya ko dol be ja kala bangola ya so nsa sing mem mira o kala
ay wote kala
yo so nyin kay mo be alamuta dro ngam juruma ko
ngam pucunga ko
puccu ni ben keta dro weke
ngalo ko wala
bari tilingo nyanta kala le biko bila ngo samade jammela nyim fengol to kunu na nyaade
ata kunu na nyaade ha at least akita nyawo nya ba so katuma molbe so bo min soto je nin ko national assembly man the right thing ke obviously mo monata soma abe senel
na ful buka fili
na ful buka fili
na fulu ka bubulo la kono ay da buldo kono in between ni alo ngabota bulo men kono kata kuma sword ha but at least na nimma afuta amam futa nyanta tara dame abota dame to problem be e kata wol yes
but now conversation when somebody wolo Mustapha and that's the scary part. Number one, mole you start like a politicize. Model wafla no atol that je
wala problem
but secondly fanang now ko tata na fa yana kata nyaade between Ami Bensouda and Mamadi Kura e camera ko ñun mo flo da malbe nun commission ko
Ami Bensouda Mamadi Kura
no jela wali e fan sum personal issues le soto because obviously ngal ne ko problem soto nun kabring Mamadi be commission auto, right? And then I'm here protest letters affair, obviously for Kilieta. Then your Mamadi relief. And then Mamadi also had some issues with some of those, right? And then obviously Mamadi made Mamadi every day, Mamadi nke malambara muka be akafon to ker mbalit. Wala ni momo kwenye Mamadi defend, continue Mamadi defend, na Mamadi kante bulile. Akafon yele ker mbalit. Anyway. But you know, like I said, so it had got to a point now. Instead of us focusing on Jamela assets, abe Jumale Bulu, munebe kere hani, the fight is Mamadi Kura and Ami Bensouda. Is that where ila story left?
Mamfuta autofango. We have not gotten to a point when we should apportion individual responsibilities. It's too early for that.
It's too early for that.
For us, what we thought our story was going to do, and that started.
Yeah.
Until it started derailing. What we thought our story was going to do is because we thought our story was the lack of transparency in the handling of the assets of the former president. The lack of transparency. That's what, from us, that's what our story is about. And so what we thought the story was going to do is to initiate a national conversation about what did Janneh Commission find out, what are the assets that belong to former president? How are they managed? How are they disposed of, the ones that were disposed of? How much money did we make from the sales? What did we spend those monies on? Right? Like a conversation. That's what we thought our story was going to start. And the story started that. And people started demanding
for accountability.
And for transparency. Publish this, publish that. Publish this, publish that. Publish this, publish that. I was working until we got to a point when
the conversation shifted.
But the Mamadi Kurang versus Ami Bensouda has always been there.
Yeah, that has been there.
At least based on the insinuation, based on what I saw, read, many people believe. Many people believe that tension has always been there since Mamadi left the commission. You know. So I saw a lot of things that have been said about Ami that, frankly, I'm in no position to defend her. I mean, I think Ami is competent enough to defend herself. I also saw a lot of people saying a lot of things about Kurang that I thought, you know, maybe it was unfair. So I think in total, the conversation shouldn't be about. In fact, I saw some people even say, oh, Kurang even sold tractors, but Kurang never said he didn't sell anything. And in fact, Kurang has many times been on record to say he sold something. And if anything, what Kurang sold is better than what the people he left at the commission sold anyway, because Kurang generated a little bit more money than they did. Than the people he left at the commission did. But then reducing it also to Ami and what role Ami might have played, you know, shouldn't be part of this process. We should be too focused. And when we say too focused, we should remove ego from it and individual personal hurt from it, and so that we could be left with just Jammeh's assets. So when we investigate and ultimately find that Ami Bensouda bought something or acted in this way or that way, then that's it. But it's too early to call for someone's head right now.
Until then, we should be cautious.
We should be not necessarily cautious, but we should be too focused. And let's account everything. Let's find out where they go, who is responsible for what.
Yeah.
Then we would now begin to apportion blame.
Blames. Yeah. Until then, let's focus. And I think I've seen Juka say that all the time. Let's focose. Let's focus.
Because I mean, look, we are talking about a lot of money.
We are getting talking about a lot of money.
The Jammeh asset thing, it's a lot of money.
Because you have gone through this, if you are to value Jammeh, his assets, his empire, and everything, how would you assess it?
There are things
based on what you have
there are things we couldn't even put value on. That's why I said, if we followed everything about the Janneh Commission, we would be much more better country now than we were. So, for example, if you look at the Jammeh Zoo, had we, like, I couldn't believe it. Like, how can a government that took over, had military and everything, was able to foil coups very early on, say I'm not able to take care of a zoo, or I'm not able to take care of livestock? It's unfathomable. It's unbelievable. Like, oh, we are not able to take care of vehicles. Like, you kidding me?
Yeah. That was crazy.
You're able to foil coups. You're not able to take care of livestock. Yeah. And in fact, one of the things that happened was when the court froze Jammeh's livestock, I believe the court froze the Jammeh livestock because they took an inventory before the court. The court ordered for them to be under the custody of the Gambia Livestock Marketing Board. This never happened.
That never happened?
No, because I went there.
Yeah.
The time I was doing that, that's back in March 2024. Yeah. That story was published last year, 2024. March 2024. Yeah. So all of those things, we can go back to all the missteps that happened. I mean, we could look at Kanilai. Think about it.
Kanilai.
The amount of investment in Kanilai that went west. Tourists right now go to Fatala. All the things we have found in Kanilai, if we had protected that zoo and invest a little bit more, few couple of millions of dollars, we would have had a lot of animals there. Yeah. And the zoo would have been a multi-million-dollar investment. Right now, it would have been worth millions. Every year it would bring us millions of dollars, I think, because even tourists could come from Kanilai, from Senegal to come to, because you see, when you are putting a value at this, my shoe is nothing. It's Mustapha K, our shoes.
Jammeh shoe.
Nelson Mandela's shoes is something.
It's something.
Because it's Nelson Mandela's shoes. Oh, the former dictator who is in Equatorial Guinea has left a zoo behind. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Tourists would come and see
it. Yeah.
He has a house, they've turned it into a museum. Tourists would come and see it. A part of it is a market now, Tourists would flock to see it.
Yeah.
Janneh Commission recommended, indeed, that turn this to some tourism, whatever. Build golf course, this, that, and that. It's all in the report.
All in the report.
It's never done. Nobody cared. Everything was left for termites to party with.
That's the sad part.
Exactly. So that's why I said there are certain things about Jammeh's assets we can't even put money on.
Monetary value on it, yeah.
A lot of negligence, a lot of recklessness. Not negligence, recklessness happened in this country. Whether it's intended or not. I think that it was too overzealous focused on material wealth.
Yeah. Yes. The properties.
It's like how do you call it? Codichoroso. Mulu nyapita wala kam. Ibe nyapila wa kampengol wol be dafengol wol be tila karo bela. Ibe nyapila codichoroso ka. That's what happened. I think a lot of recklessness happened. Was it intended? I don't know. But this is the kind of conversation we expect the country to be having
now.
Yeah, but if you have a patelem, sambalem, for now, take a break. Take a cool sip of water, and then we have a better conversation. Otherwise, I mean, this country will never be fixed. Yeah, because until you are able to hold yourself to a standard, you are going to hold others too. I mean, you're wasting your time. Yeah. People who can't fix themselves can't fix a country. Yeah.
People who can fix
themselves cannot fix a country. Yes. You have to fix yourself first.
Deep.
Exactly. So when even when the government throws seeds at other opposition who are involved in X, Y, and Z, the government should also look inwards and say, well, we probably could also have done better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because true, other people are involved.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's true. It's an undeniable fact.
Yeah.
Other people are involved. Other people in other political parties, in other establishments, known individuals, they've done things that are wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is that will that be the one that defines it? Yeah. So just cheap political point scoring.
That should not be the focus.
Yeah. It's a distraction right now, and it's the distraction that's imagine all the beginning. In the beginning,
but do you think it was intended? Is it intended?
It's intended
to distract us from the focus.
It's intended because you see, and that's why I said the young people.
Yeah.
The young people, the Gala boys.
Yeah.
You know, don't be distracted by what people are telling you.
Yeah.
By the fame that comes with what you're
doing. Yeah.
And don't be distracted by name calling. Don't be. You see, once you are clear in your mind what you need to do, right? You should know what path. That's what clarity is about. You know, it's about, you know, other people are calling you an idiot, yeah, but you know you're not an idiot.
Yeah.
You are clear in your head who you are.
Yeah.
And that's what matters. So you have a path that you need to take, and that's what these young people need to and begin to have clarity. So this is not about Dr. Ismail Assise. You may be pleased with him. I'm sometimes pleased with him.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, when he says something, take a moment to assess it.
Assess what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, when the Minister of Justice says something, I'm sometimes I saw their statement. I wasn't happy with it. But take a moment to assess it. If the president says something, just as the opposition leader, take a moment to assess it. And I think one of the things that happened in 2016 was that even this happened from the beginning of time. I mean, as far as the Republic of the Gambia is concerned, we have never taken careful scrutiny of the opposition. We always scrutinize the incumbent.
Yeah.
And so we sleepwalk into another disaster. It's like we did with Barrow. So we could have scrutinized Barrow so carefully that once we were transitioning, we have fixed what we are moving into. Right? So let's not commit another mistake again. Okay. People are not upright because they are opposition. It's too easy to pick the government or to, yeah. So we just need to have enough clarity and go after, you know, what we think is right and what we have enough evidence to support. The government does a lot of mess. I mean, quite frankly, a lot of what I've talked about is government's responsibility. Yeah, but we can't, we have to find out the truth. Yeah. And, you know, maybe truth is a tall order, but we have to find the facts. And, you know, so, yeah. But this is a conversation that I'm sure will be going on.
But the message is let's focus on the issue, the accountability part. Let's continue to demand for accountability and make sure the investigation is fair and transparent.
Yes.
Now let's forget about
and don't tell us that this is what the commission said. No. You're not smarter than us.
Yeah.
Give us the documents. Let's read it for ourselves.
Read it for ourselves. Yeah.
Give us the valuation reports.
Yeah.
Give us the inventories. Give us everything.
Yeah.
Not You're smarter than us. So stop telling us. That's not what governance is about. Governance is not telling people. And this governance is not giving people information. Governance is giving people relevant information. Yeah. So stop telling us. Give us.
But us, the people, especially the Gala, who are championing, you did your work and they took over. They are demanding, the government, they are demanding accountability.
We've not done our work yet. We're doing our work.
You just started.
Yeah.
You just started. Now, thank you for sending us stars. We want to thank you all
and I think, you know,
thank you for sending us stars. But now, you know, and I want this to be clear, the focus should be continually asking for clarity. And for more information. And demand accountability. And put more.
When we are done,
then we can apportion blame.
Then we can call for heads.
Yes, but not now.
Yeah.
And this will even put more pressure on the National Assembly Select Committee to know that the people really want you to do your job.
That's why I reached out to someone
Yeah.
when the young people said they were going to move on to another
course. And I was okay.
And I said, well, this is fine. I mean, I know these boys.
But get this right first.
Yeah.
Finish this job.
Yeah. So I mean, whether or not we finish the job, but even if they are going to move on to the other sets of things, this is, Janneh Commission is not a sprint, it's a marathon. I mean, we're talking about potentially $1 billion. You know how much $1 billion is? Is the total amount of debt Jammeh left in the Gambia.
Oh my God.
$1 billion would have paid our debt to zero. Like to zero. That's what $1 billion is.
And this could have been done.
It's 2 times the budget of the Gambia. Over 2 times the budget of the Gambia.
Wow.
That's what $1 billion is.
Wow.
It's a lot of money.
Just think about that.
Yeah,
just think about that.
Yeah.
Maybe if we...
And it's, like I said, it's more that, like things that have gone to waste, we can't put value, monetary value on them.
Yeah.
Even the land that Jammeh lives here, it could have been better utilized. Some of the land shouldn't even have, these people are building malls on our land.
Yeah.
Like mall. Some of those lands should have even been given to councils. You know, for example, usually all these places are parked. Yeah. You give a piece of land in that area to KMC, and you give this so-called 5-star hotel you are building at former medical whatever to become an area council and tell them, build a park there, build a park, build a Q-City-like kind of a facility, a park, a recreational facility, a library, a kind of a, children can go there, play all these things. People can go there, have fun, read and stuff. You give a place.
Look, I mean, some of these
lot of recklessness
are given to individuals, and they are selling it to real estate companies, and they are coming back to sell it to us for millions. That is what really saddens me, Mustapha.
Yeah, I mean,
they will
that is why I said, I mean,
and you.
Yeah,
they will tell me and you, I cannot live under TDA, even though I legally bought it from the people in Sanyang and Tande and Buye, right? They will take it to you and they say you have to go and apply a GT board. But fewon mi yalon ko yata Jammeh bul yata ya di mo kilina wo ita wo wa fi real estate ola wo kana wa finte ya koteke. But through that person I can live on the TDA. But as a Gambian, this is sad.
No, I mean, but you know, all those conversations is now we need to have, because you see, we've not had a democracy in the Gambia. What we have is a pseudo democracy. Democracy is a government. Democracy is a government of the people.
Yeah.
You know, and people say, oh, now politics. Let's wait for elections. No. You know, democracy begins after an election.
After an election.
Yeah. Democracy is not the election. Election is when we decide who presides over the democracy. Democracy is government. It's governance of the people, for the people, and by the people. So election is just one tiny part of it, that we are the ones who are going to decide who is going to preside and supervise how we dispense our resources, how we manage our resources, what kind of resources do we mobilize. Election is when we decide who is going to supervise that process. Now, democracy is a process. It's it starts after the elections. So governance essentially starts after an election. So, you know, these young people are on the right track. I mean,
on the right track.
Except that they shouldn't allow themselves to be distracted by other people, by fame, by, you know, don't be famous to yourself. I mean, you can be famous, but don't be famous to yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It gets to a point, you know, you have to, you don't get consumed with this.
Because you are you. So you can't be more than who you are in your head.
Once you do that,
yeah,
it defeats all the purpose, and that's is one thing.
Yeah. So the person you say to yourself, I have this famous story of one of a military general. It's back in the Arabian Peninsula. He called a group of people, and he called them and he told them, I am Omar, and I was a shepherd. You know, my father, we used to go through this and that and that and that. I struggled for food, and my father would used to send me to protect my sheep, and when I come back, they will give me, I think, dates and something for my sustenance. And he said, that's all. And at that time, the Muslim Empire was from the Arabian Peninsula right down to Northern Africa and Morocco. And people told him, surely you do have something more to say to us than just this. He said, no. He told them, well, I was speaking to my ego.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's important to just stay to
it's important. It's very important. And I think that is part of the things that we currently are facing. I mean,
the young people, they're doing an amazing job, because when all of this,
they just need to stay the course.
They need to stay focused.
I can't imagine what things would have been if they didn't do what they did.
They did what they did.
Yeah.
We would have just...
In fact, they protected us.
They did. It would have been the same thing, because
if they didn't come out, the government wanted to bury everything.
Yes.
They didn't want to. That is, you said the statement that the government issued. Everything was
okay. It was transparent. We followed due process. That was their initial statement.
As when the young people started, and the people became, I have a lot of calls. It's unbelievable. The amount of interest in this. And when that happened, the young people took to the street and demanded answers. So I called someone and I said, this was a miracle. Yeah. But the miracle was somebody must have triggered the young people to defend us. Yeah. Yeah. Because we were literally sliding under the bus. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah. Because a lot of people were discrediting us, saying a lot of stuff. But when the facts started being published, young people forced them to start publishing stuff. People were saying, let's second guess this. Do you think everything was above board? Yeah, we sold. But you sure you got it right when you sold all of these things at this price? Maybe you could have done better. People started believing our story. Right? And we started gaining momentum and all of that. So I think the young people...
And that is why that phrase, power belongs to the people, really is what was manifested. When the young people came out, they were arrested, right?
The power, in fact, does not belong to the people. The power is the people.
It's the people. The people. The power is the people.
The power is the people. So authority is the power you exercise that's given to you. Yes, yeah. Authority is not it's like I gave you a task. Yeah. I appointed you as an editor, and I authorized you. I gave you power. So your power is not more than what I have. Yeah. Your power is driven from mine. So I am the owner of the business. Yeah. I give you power. Yeah. I give you authority. So what Barrow has is not, Barrow doesn't have power. No, Barrow has authority. The people have power. The people are the one who authorize Barrow. So Barrow has authority, not power. So power is not driven from the people. The people are the power.
The people are the power. Yeah. So the same people can, if they do right and they continue being focused, can this...
No government can lie to them.
No government can lie to them.
Because we don't need all these things. I mean, all that we need, that's what I said, we need an army of rebels, like, people who refuse to believe the government.
People who refuse to be misled.
Well, people, not misled, believe the government.
Okay,
we must trust the government.
We are supposed to trust our government.
We're not supposed to.
We are not supposed to?
No.
Okay.
Because government doesn't even trust itself.
Okay.
Trust and governance are incompatible. They don't work together. Nobody trusts the government. No person who understands what he's doing trusts the government. Government doesn't trust itself. That is why the president doesn't appoint you and say, go and do as you please. He appoints you and gives you a guideline, a TOR, to say this is what you must do. Government is not based on trust. No, it's based on the ideals of restraint. Right? We have National Audit Office to do what? To check the purse, where the money goes. Everything you are going to do in government, the procurement process, it has a procedure. That is why there is Gambia Public Procurement Authority to approve the procurement process. If the government trusts themselves, we trust the executive director, we wouldn't have put all those measures in place. So government is not, a citizen who trusts the government is a liability. Government is not based on trust.
Based on trust.
Yeah. Everyone must distrust the government.
I said something, Mustapha, before we move on to the mining, because we don't have time. I said something. Would it be right to say, can we have a comprehensive list of all land allocations from 2017 to today?
Yeah, it should. That's what we should have.
That's where we should start, right? Give us a comprehensive list of all land allocations from 2017 to date.
Yeah, all those things should be there, and you know, people need to ask and begin to have.
I say this, we need to know. Yahya Jammeh kenoli ko keme fula aning ka woro nin fen commission will identify. Government ko nyoko keme tan nan ni lule wafita kodi. Saying keme fula aning one nin fen wole.
Yeah, dol fang murta community il kanna because dol fang we have gone into certain places. We are aware of certain places. Me along community lietale. Janneh Commission government fang be futala uta atre dol be allocate.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, alkalo dol be je ko ha Jammeh ento force yenta they took it back, they sell it. That's also something. I was talking to one person. I said, well, government is not the only person responsible.
No, it's not.
There are also community leaders making huge mistakes.
Yeah.
They're selling everything, and that's also not. That's also not right. That's why I said people who don't put themselves to check cannot check the government. They can't check. Authority. So
let's look at the your mining story. Yeah. I didn't have the chance to read it though.
Yeah, but of course we've seen Abubakar and Gach fought back and said, well, what we wrote is not true. But yeah.
What did you find? What was the findings of your report?
It's more like the same story. So the mining story was done by Talebe Hydra and Mariam Sankano.
Mariam, yeah.
So what they did was that they followed the mining process, find out how much tons of mineral silica we've exported from 2017 to date. The number of containers and value it by the number of tons that are in a container. But what's interesting is that Gach does not apparently, or it appears, doesn't have environmental approval for a lot of its operations. Yeah. And, a lot of the places they are mining, almost all the places, they were mined before. Now, we would have expected, at least that's what the Janneh Commission expected, that government should have done a whole study and do a whole environmental management and rehabilitation, in the areas and stop some of these things. But then, nobody cares about that. So this mining is continuing unabated with total destruction of the environment. If you go to this Combo South, all these mine zones, go there for yourself. Take your cameras there. We don't usually ask people to trust us because currently we have done our story. Gach has issued its statement.
Yeah.
But people can read it and make their own judgment. They can go to pictures and look at all the issues. They can go to Google Earth and compare the pictures of the mine areas before and now.
Yeah.
You don't need a journalist to be able to do that. If you go to Google Earth, if you go to Google Earth Pro and you download it on your laptop, you can navigate timelines. So you can look at satellite image of this place in 2017 and satellite image of the place in 2022 and compare it. You can see the level of destruction. It's unimaginable. Even though, you can't solely blame this on Gach. This mining was done even before Gach, but it's continuing, and nobody cares to lift a finger to stop it. Even the former minister who later was appointed, who is currently the tourism minister, when he went around, he came back to say, what is happening to the environment due to mining? It's a carnage, we're going to stop, but, nothing happened. So we also made a request for them to give us their account statements, their total export revenue, the mining account, a copy of a bank statement of the mining account at the central bank. They refused, the government.
They refused.
None of our ATI requests were honored. 4 months now. To be safe, we made that ATI request to Ministry of Mines, asking all this, the contract with Gach, the account statement. Yeah. Because you are telling me our share in this business is 60% of net profit. How can we make that determination if we don't know what the net profit is?
We don't see the numbers, yeah.
You have to give us the numbers.
Yeah.
You cannot just come and tell me Gach has put in the account 10 million. That's the 60% of our net profit. Who are you? This is ours. It's not yours.
Yeah.
You're just an employee. So give us the damn facts.
Yeah.
Let's determine that ourselves. You know? So, but they wouldn't do that. You know, they just take our words for it. Why would we take your word? That's not how governance works.
No.
You don't go to the parliament and tell them that take our words for it. You provide them with documents when they request it.
Yeah.
And we set up the parliament, we set up the government,
yeah.
We set up everything. So when we come to you and say, give it to us, you should give it to us. But they don't, and you know, now they are complaining with what we wrote is wrong.
Do you think?
But the people can make their own determinations.
Do you think as a country we are losing, apart from the environmental damage it is doing to our community, or do you think we are also losing a lot of revenue?
I think so.
Because of the lack of transparency?
I think so. I think so. I think so. I think we are losing a lot of revenue. I think potentially we are losing it. That's my opinion, and it's an informed opinion. If people are sitting on data, what do you think they are sitting? Nobody hides data for no reason.
No reason.
Yeah, I think so. It's an informed opinion. Yeah, because certainly we know how much they exported, because you can't hide that from us. We don't need you for that. We go to ports to get it and GRA to get it.
Yeah.
So we got what they pass through GRA and ports, but you know. And it's interesting what I have found out during the course of this work.
Yeah.
Because, you know, even when my colleagues are onto a story, I also chip in here and there. So I reached out to a friend at Ports, and he told me for 2024, we don't have it. And I said, why? 2020 and 2024, they don't have it. And I said, why? He said, no, because those times, those ones are handled by the ports around, by the place around Bond Road.
That's the new dry port.
Yeah.
That is the Hadim Gate place.
Yeah. So it's interesting, that place is also doing part of what Ports Authority does, GPA does.
The dry port.
So the ports was in fact privatized before it was privatized, or at least part of it. You know, sometimes some things you can find.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Not everything can be said or written, but you know, the bottom line is, look, what starts to happen here, and I think Barrow should be careful and look on the horizon. When things are changing, when things are changing, you see the signs, you know. The end of Jammeh comes with its own signs. You know? So people should be smart. People should be careful. People should watch, you know, what signs are out there.
What are you trying to say? What signs are there?
I mean, wise people don't fight to keep power.
Wise people don't fight
to keep
power.
No. Because sembo bereko gio ibuka afudi ni afudi bust.
Aka bust.
It bust. So ni nyapita kang ibuka abula kairo kono de. Wise people don't fight to keep power. Nah. They manage the transition. Come in Gio, eka silola bonda.
Kasilo blaita. But ibuka fo kada.
So ni lafta adula, ni lafta kana adula. It's like controlled demolition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want the house, if you don't want the house to collapse anyhow, you decide how it collapses.
Yeah.
So wise people they manage transition. They don't try to. Because Jammeh beat it when I get yeah, so I mean, he should be careful. I'm not saying he's. I mean, I'm not into business of prophecy. I'm a journalist.
Yeah.
You know.
But
but he should just be careful. I mean, just anything you do in the world, try to manage things in the just way, the best way you know how, so that because it will live.
It will live.
Yeah, I mean.
Femu kalabang.
And be a mole fata.
Hani hada badingo for new kalabang. Sako fengo.
Like like you in the order of creation, you are insignificant. And be a mole fata, wali fata, fengo be a fata. I mean, President of yes, everything. Yes, everything is going. Everything that rises is going to fall.
Come down.
Yeah, so you just have to just be careful. Well, I'm not
wala ne ko ni be selela kana how je futa santo back because ni futa santo fijina.
Yes.
Nika sell, you want to sell it gradually. You don't want to go right there.
Yeah.
Because
I have a story of someone who, but anyway, you know, he said after perfection, everything that follows it's ruin. So they said that when the verses came on the prophet that I don't like to make religious conversation because make it looks like people are very religious. But anyway, in any case, it's just an example.
Yeah.
So when the verses came that was saying that religion is perfected, and so I think Abu Bakr cried, and when they said, "Why are you crying?" He said, "After perfection, it's destruction."
It's destruction.
Yeah, everything that goes right to there
has to come down.
Has to come down. Well, it's true. I mean, after the caliphs that followed the prophet, third one, fourth one, they started a civil war. And so Islam started splitting everybody. Shias came out, all these things. Yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that dunia buka mojai, kono buka mojai.
Kono buka mojai.
But dunia fana buka mojai. So just be careful. Like all the things like people say, I mean, and I can get it. I mean, in this country, more people are greedy. They want to get everything. I mean, that is why I think they are projecting.
Yeah.
So how comes this guy is making, these poor people are making life uncomfortable for a lot of rich people?
Yeah.
How they must be making a lot of money. You know, I even had an example. Somebody called to say, well, this story we've published is likely that, oh, how much money have we made? I said, well, these things are. So, but the point is that people in this country more greedy back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that resources be Janneh.
More greedy.
You have 2 million. 10 million, 4 million, 5 million, maybe in dollars. In Doman Fenso, we be all a Kodota cab. What be caring? Yeah. You what Bulu, you tell a friend or you sort of you are in a position of authority. You land allocate way. A land may alonco. So overnight, one day, within just 1 hour, you made somebody a millionaire. Because you allocated him a prime land which he is going to sell for maybe 30 million or 40 million. And
Mustapha
and that's what happens here.
Mustapha,
so if in the day thinking after and bald you are jamoto inshallah
Mustapha, and the sad part is, and you know, I said this, connection of Bangkok, Mustapha, allocation of
but they're allocating stuff to everybody.
But they are allocating, and then you can't understand no andung.
And at some point, you know, young. They should be careful. You know, everything has an end. Jawara was here. Atata. Jammeh Nata. He protected his friends and went after Jawara's friends. Yeah, and went after Jawara's friends. He protected his friends. Baro Nata. He protected his friends and went after Jammeh's friends. Somebody could come who will protect no one.
No one.
Yeah.
And that's what we need.
Well,
somebody who will come and not protect nobody.
Well,
and then at least we start.
Yeah, because everything.
Well, because Gambia land.
So I can't remember and Ibe Mala drunk because you found better. You think they are rich, they have influence, they are this. I made my money. How do you make your money? For it if I iPhone all that.
Honey, I want Bill Gates.
It if I Mansakunda doku I kodostro. Mansakunda doku ente edita doku. Ite man fensu, ite fensu. Okay, no anyade. Ite edita doku. You know, so I come to President Jammeh with some people, some of the former government and PPP ministers. It had TRC kafa. Jammeh was a bitter man, a jalostale. I can't find thing I told him buron and nimburo and
subo. Revolution or not?
But for what man Jammeh bitter?
Well, Jammeh bitter because I'll come
in. Ntol tamu mansa kundadi. Ite for tell barakatan tol.
Ntol nimantara elito kono wato ibuka
hand. Yes, so what grievance thing. What did Jammeh create?
Yeah, what did Jammeh create?
Yes.
Because Jammeh,
So because Jammeh fanamang enough wisdom soto to be, because wisdom helps people to have clarity.
Yeah.
So you become cool bole. Wala nkame mfo komi ila ego buka dun kol ko. But ni barfo mo ka futa makamola to. Makamola beje men ka mo norindi wala. That's not just any human being. Yeah. But Jammeh man futa auto. So Jammeh confused things. He allowed that anger to get hold of him.
Do you believe?
But he had a lot of grievances he had were genuine.
They were genuine. A lot of the grievances, because Mustapha, and a lot of us, we see that, right? We don't come from a family, me along with you understand? And then inila access be inila fenko be but fengo dolu itete wol soto nola. Intete si nola CV or phone nga kodo soto nga you understand?
Yeah. So if I want to be a millionaire, you think it's easy to be a millionaire?
I remember, I want to say this story, right?
Super easy.
There was this story you did. I don't want to name the story.
Yeah.
You did this story, and I remember that was your travel to Swiss, and then you were supposed to meet this.
I want to meet you.
And obviously, you know, because we knew what it was. And that's why
the work comes with that. If you want to make money it's easy. The question is, how do you want to make it?
How do you want to make it?
Yeah. But at this point, as it is, I can survive, you know.
Yeah.
I've survived.
That's where I want to
survived this long.
That's what I want to come. The work you do. You know, until Jang at Kerr Fatou, we at least talk advertisement, right? But now we don't get it because Mazakunda at daytime.
Yes.
But we are still surviving. And you know what this taught me? To be more innovative. That is why I tell people, I told me I'll conquer life ke alkan jube. Send us stars.
Yes.
Alkan stars means then alkan view.
You make money out of it.
YouTube, Facebook, we make money.
Yeah.
At this point, we can even pay salaries from what we get on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes.
Because people are watching us. But for us to be able to do that, we have to create a lot of content.
But that is why also, Gambians should take interest in critical journalism.
Critical journalism. That's where I want to come in.
And
at least in the platform, I can come here and say, hey, send us stars and support us, because I can say that. And people watch and they make, give you near YouTube or Facebook, those views, we make money. So at least work on a salary nole. We just have to top it up from somewhere. Because from 15 sponsors, today you are at 2 or 3. Because the government came after you. But for somebody like
and you know, very useless people, many are on their total liability on this economy. People who cannot create anything for themselves. Let alone another person.
They will just go and create a narrative.
Because the president loves you.
Yeah. But the thing is,
what happens here, it's more than a travesty. It's unbelievable.
I went to the Ministry of Local Government. Should anybody ask me what I'm doing at local government?
It's my government.
Like,
what do you mean? Like,
so that's how crazy our country is. But somebody like you, the kind of work you do, Albuka advertisement care, because sometimes it can influence. Because Nika Corporation or Dolu,
it's also the time. I mean, everything you do.
So how important is, and I want to say this, Gambians should know, they should invest in critical journalism.
Yeah, it's important. Not just their resources, but also their time and defense.
And defense, but resources. Because News Story took 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah. And a lot of our stories took a lot of time because we do many stories at a time.
At a time.
Like at the barest minimum, we do 2 stories at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you will be doing 1 story, you continue, you add 3 stories, 4 stories, you add you continue with the other.
You have a staff, like a team of 5+.
Yeah.
You have to maintain, you have to survive, you have to pay to even have access to certain information.
Yeah.
We know that, and because we used to work together, and I know that. So that's why it's important for Gambians who are interested in critical journalism to invest in outfits like this.
Yeah.
That is the only way. Look, that's true. Email staff will journal. They will not be able to do a work like this.
Yeah.
And I always ask you this. I like, Mustapha, I don't know how you do it. Sometimes I get gray hair. I started for the past 2 years. I started getting gray hair because I have to tabas. Now I'm a businesswoman. I invest in other stuff to be able to bring money to this outfit because it doesn't make money. And I know the same thing, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So people need to...
It's quite so that's why we came up with an innovative method of saying crowdfunding, donate to our work.
To work and, you know, Allah...
I mean, it's grossly inadequate right now, but what is happening is that... what is happening is also very significant in that people, we have steady donors. We are hoping to grow it.
Yeah.
But we have people who donate. So it's grossly inadequate. Like it's not even 20% of
I have to do a program with you where we will have to promote
this kind of journalism.
Yeah, this kind of journalism where we promote your website, we will promote link, and we'll work also to have people subscribe to your page.
Yeah.
So that, because we have that here. If we have 100 people subscribe to the Republic page and give you monthly $10.99, right?
Yeah.
That's like $1,000 there.
Yeah.
And then we have a Wave link or Facebook link where we raise money for this woman,
Yeah.
in 3 days, we raised almost $80,000 for her.
Yeah.
What about if we're able to do something like that to promote your work and do that? So I'm going to...
Because critical journalism matters.
Yeah, it does.
Journalism, governance, like I said, government is not built on ideals of trust.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody should trust the government.
Yeah.
Government has never been truthful.
No.
It's not Barrow. It's every government.
It's every government.
Government bewalanya.
You look trustworthy.
For coming musalve the ones who are alamen tombong come and be a morning Caliph soul. Those are chosen by God.
Yeah.
You know, they were disciplined by him also.
Yeah.
But these ones are not like that.
Yeah.
They come. That's why we build them structures for them to function.
Yeah.
And the only structure outside of government that holds this beast to account is the media.
Is the media. Yeah. And that's why, and sometimes I don't even blame some media outlets because, to be honest,
they have to survive.
They have to survive. Mustafa.
And not everybody can do this. I mean, because frankly, when all of, even Malagan, when we started, we operated for 1 year without a budget from anybody.
Yeah.
We were doing fact checks. Fact checks done by other organizations to survive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you tell people how you start this kind of journalism, no, they wouldn't, because, I mean, for people, it's like, I mean, we've had people who reach out to us and they wanted to support, but they don't fall under the category allowed.
Yeah. And
so maybe a politician.
And that's where I wanted to come in also. Yeah. If I say we're going to do crowdfunding and initiatives that we want to do to support critical journalism, we are not, because we also being careful who the money comes from.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
We want the Gambian people.
Yeah.
And when I went to Rhode Island, University of, right?
Yeah.
What they were saying is, it's important, we were there with RSF and others.
Yeah.
When you crowdfund, let the people power you.
Yes.
Because you become
they take
ownership of your outfit.
Yes.
And they support you, they sponsor you, that way, because you're working for those people.
Yeah.
And that is important.
Absolutely.
And I think that is something I'm passionate about. We are going to do it.
I mean, it's important, and it's important we have a conversation around it.
That.
I mean, people understand, not just to defend.
Because if we don't have financing to be able to work, man choice at all. It's either you will slide back, so that you can have some funds coming, or ultimately you will not be able to do your work properly.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
And of course, likely a lot of us will not slide back. We will likely just leave the job and go and do something. For me, that's no option at all, because, part of the things I did at the beginning was I started to do a small business on the sides. And so I put in the money for somebody to do a small business. Because for me, I mean,
this is the same thing.
There's no other thing we could do.
For me, like I said, this is my legacy.
Yeah, this is our life.
I want my kids to continue this.
No, definitely.
But what I'm going to do is create a parallel business somewhere, and that way I can pump that in. But it should not have been that.
No, it should not have been like that. But like I said, government.
Republic Monsoto, Kerr Fatou Monsoto, Watson Gambia Monsoto. Maybe it's going to be a disaster. People will
you're never going to have
imagine
a good
Gambia without independent journalism.
No.
That's what people should imagine.
And the thing is, whether it's Barrow or any other person who comes, you're never going to have a trustworthy government or a perfect government. You're always going to have a government of human beings with bunch of flaws, with every word they say that you have to take with a giant bucket of salt. Yes. That's it. And in a situation like that, you must be on your toes constantly to fact check, to cross check, you know. And that's what journalism is about. And civil society that question. And that's why when I saw Mahdi's people issuing all the time a statement and doing all the things that are unusual by most civil society standards in the Gambia, I tell people, this is the kind of stuff, right? This is the kind of stuff we want in the Gambia. I mean, you have a lot of, and now I think because of that position, now I think a lot of other civil society members are also stepping up. When we published our story on the mining, you see the Environmental Alliance, whatever. They issue a statement, they're going to hold a press conference and talk about it. And I said, yeah, so you see, I mean, we are not saying believe us, but now ask the government, okay, so yeah, that's what the Republic says. You don't believe it? Give us the contracts, give us the environmental EIA, environmental approval certificates of that, give us the accounts, let's determine who is right. Yeah. But we need that kind of civil society in the Gambia. A civil society that's also critical, like journalism is critical.
I think I just got the biggest boost from my uncle MB Krobali, and he was just telling me how even in the US and other countries, me along broadcasters or kake, you do fundraisers for independent journalism.
Even you have platforms like ProPublica, for example.
So I'm setting a date. Me and you we're going to do one.
We even have, you know, I mean, there are tons. I mean, in fact, in the Western journalism, it's very like you have ProPublica, you have the Doze in Austria. You have even OCCRP. They receive donations. Like tons, you cannot even believe. Even Premium Times in Nigeria. Port Estate in Ghana.
They do it, and we have to.
It's now a
before,
model.
You know, let me tell you something. Before, when we started having this star thing, right? I started. Dimba pronounce my editor tells me, can you promote your stars? It looks like you know how you know right? And I'm like, it looks like I'm asking people for money. I don't want that. I'm just doing my job. But I said to myself, no, I'm doing this job for the people.
Some people send us as low as $100, $70, $50.
Mustapha, we were doing a wave for her, right? $25, $50. For beer, for that almost $80, 80,000 like in just less than. And if we can do that, I think Yunus have already set up a GoFundMe for you guys, right?
Well, Yunus is the one. Our PayPal account is handled by Yunus. It's opened by Yunus because PayPal you can only carry. So they handle it, they do it, and you know. Critical journalism is important.
I think what I'm going to set up series of at least 4 fundraisers that we will do for the Republic, and we will start this Sunday. You can come in and I'll get Mahdi and others to come in, and then we will do. I'm going to I'll be a saslale, $100K, $150K, and those people I make sure they will follow Dunang and they, you know.
If they are not politicians.
No, you want a politician not.
Yeah, because our policy
traditional people on Facebook, online.
Those kind of people, yes. Because for us, what we were trying to build, it's a project that is defended by the people. And so that even if I am not there, it works.
The project can work.
So for example, you know, you have folks like Mariam Taliba. I mean, these are people who are already on their own independent journalists, even if I don't exist. So that kind of project.
Juka just gave me the boost. She said they are ready, Juka, Tukulo, and everything. Yes. I've got the team set up. So we'll do that Sunday, and we'll start that. I mean, we need to protect this. We need to protect it. We need to support it.
But also stay the course. I mean, the young people stay the course. Don't be distracted by the politics and the politicians. Don't be distracted by Ami Bensouda versus Kura. And I hope there is a cool head prevailing. I mean, it's not in the interest for Ami to go ahead with this.
Juka said, are the activists allowed? Yes. In fact, you are leading it. The activists are fine. They are the ones leading it. So,
those kind of things. you know.
You know, Juka, your sasnala. But we are so happy, Mustafa. I think, you know, this, you know, we're almost 3 hours into this show.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think, but it was necessary, it was important. Finally, what is your message, first to the young people? And of course, most important.
To the young people is to stay the course. I mean, like I said, government is not built to be trusted. It doesn't matter. Even if you make me the president, saying all these nice things, government is not built on the ideals of trust. Government is built on the ideals of accountability. That's why government itself, when they build, the president, even the president's office has accountable institutions.
Yes.
Yeah. So the same way the society is structured. Yeah. So if you say the people are the you know, the general members. Yeah, so the government works for us. You know, so I mean, we have the media to report the government's business to us and to hold the government accountable on behalf of the people.
Yeah.
So the young people are a critical element of that. Like I said, they saved us. You know, when they took to the street, not only have they taken our work one step further, they ensured that the government acted on it.
And they protected
protected us.
Yeah.
And it's because of them everyone started backing off. You know, it's no longer popular to hurt us. So everybody started running away because it became popular with the young people. And so government acts, you see, government only acts when there is pressure.
Yes.
Because you see, check the first statement they issued to the last statement. Niaje dindingo mole be ba falante dingonda
amambaraka dingo nyamambaraka.
So niaje Janneh Commission report mo be bolato.
Ha sila.
Dindingo kulebje.
Yeah.
That's all I'm issued.
Thank you so much, Mustafa, and all of you watching. Thank you so much for watching. Just like I said, we'll be on Sunday. We'll do it through Facebook Live so we can have so many people come in and just promote this and get to people to subscribe to the Republic's page, monthly contributions, but also to donate to their PayPal or Wave or to the GoFundMe. That way we can support critical journalism and take charge of the work they are doing, because they are doing the work for the people. Nini report on Janneh Commission. So it's because of works like this that is why we are able to do stuff like this. So hopefully, I have over almost 2,000 people watching this show. If we have everyone chip in $10 or $5, that will help to fund some of the other projects they will be doing. So Manju to Fena, from $25 to $10, we have to support our own. This is the only way where journalists can be critical and be independent. When they have resources, they can do a better job. Thank you all so much. Mustafa, thank you so much. I'll see you on Sunday, inshallah. And to your team, Talib and Mariam and the others.
Yeah, Mariam, I don't know. I've seen Mariam sending me a message. I don't know what people are telling her.
I know, Mariam, right?
I've seen also, yes, I've seen Talib is...
what is Talib bringing? Oh, I'm sure they are all watching.
Talib is definitely watching.
Talib is definitely watching. Talib, send a message if you are watching. So, I know you are watching, right?
So people are, Talib is saying people are asking for the Wave account.
The Wave account,
there's a donate page on our, there's a donate page on our
right
website.
Now, let's, Wave account, let me
there is even a donate page on our
What
website.
is the Wave account? What did he say? I am asking it.
It's Talib's.
After text here, I read me out, please. What is the Wave account? So we can tag it.
It should be 260-4433.
260-4433. Let me text it to you. I appeal
260-4433.
260-4433. Let me get, hold on. 260-4433. What number? 260-44?
Yes, 33, yes. Talibe Hydra.
Talibe,
Talibe Hydra.
T-A-L-I.
It's not Talib.
Talibe.
Before they said now.
Talibe Hydra.
Now he is working for the Bensoudas.
No. So can you tag this for me?
Yeah, Talibe Hydra.
Talibe Hydra. Can you pin this? Especially more in Europe and America, they will need the name. Let me get at least 500, 25,000, 30,000 on this Wave, please. Let's do that. And then Sunday when we come, we can, let's get people. Yes, I saw people saying it. 260-4433. Editor, can you please tag this for me and the name so we can have some people, people are even texting it so that we can have people, have it. I think this is it. You know, we have to protect and support the Republic. They're doing an amazing job. This is what they're doing for us, and it's for all of us. Let me know if you have sent on the wave. Tell me on the comment section you have sent on the wave. Those of you watching, I have about 1,400 people. So let me know if you have sent it on the wave, and let me see. I think it's important to have these conversations.
Mariam is saying hi. She thinks it's a wonderful interview.
Mariam, oh, thank you, Mariam.
That's not my credit, though. I think it's your credit.
It's me. I'm a good interviewer. Mariam, I'm a good interviewer. I am. I get the facts out. Yalo bani la kacha yalo woka o meta diari ne nakacha meta diari ne bari don't je boka be iga borina kinyo from the beginning.
Well, yeah, because the issue is like I said, when the tension is up, don't talk.
Don't talk, yeah.
It's better that way.
Don't forget to send on the wave.
Otherwise, you say things that without clarity is not from good judgment.
Yeah.
It's from either your ego or your sentiment.
Yeah.
So it's always wise to just go home, sleep, have your attire. When you are calm, talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the media council thing, the media council thing, I was quite pissed when it began, when it happened.
Yeah.
When Emil even called me afterwards, I didn't pick. But those are things that I'm now.
Yeah.
I just see, and people are different and they see things differently. Maybe I'm wrong about their motives, maybe I'm not. Yeah, so.
It's not really about the motives, it's about what is said,
Yeah, it was wrong, but, know. But, people are people. So.
Emily is our brother.
I didn't want to talk at the time because I thought maybe I was pissed.
And that's good. When you're upset, don't address things at the time. Wait until...
I think emotions were high at the time.
Yeah, emotions were really high at the time.
A lot of things. It's easy for people to take a lot of things personal.
Yeah, please. I think I've seen... who's saying, Charles, can you check the signal? I hope, I want this body bunker, please send the wave. Yes, Fat Jan is Nana Yangeli. Let's make sure we send to this wave. I will be back on Sunday with Mustapha and some other team. We have to do some crowdfunding, and from you people, the Gambian people who have...
Don't forget to tell them about Kerr Fatou too. They asked us to do YouTube too. I told them, but you have to have
Charles,
staff
what's going on with the
capacity
internet? You are losing everything, right? Can you check what's going on, please?
I told them you have to have staff capacity to be able to
and it takes a lot to build all of that. It takes a lot.
People don't know that.
Yeah, it takes so much.
And it's sad. Because country banko ni multa da tinyaro siata. It's easy to assume everybody is like that.
Yeah.
But that's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, melong for it.
Wo for the wrong.
Yeah. Not everybody. The honey system or government.
Ha.
I know people who are like that.
They are there are people that are really...
I was talking to a senior person at the ministry, so in fact, some of the things that I raised, there was a recent staff in the Ministry of Justice who passed away recently.
Yeah.
I was telling him some things about him that were very straightforward. I mean, there were people in government, even in the audit. Before, they karambatu and inkatala office. Yeah, but one day from my Inchikala Mutola and someone and 20.
Yeah.
When he was Auditor General. Yeah, I go to his office all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. So, more big government than many island to date, I go to their office.
Yeah.
I sit there, people see me go there. They think maybe I go there, they give me stuff. No, I just pass by and say hi, and And sometimes we have a chat. They want to know what's in my head. I want to know what's in their head.
Yeah. And I always tell you this, Mustafa, and you're patient, and you're patient.
It's just how it works.
I don't have that.
Because people want to, a lot of people who talk to us are on the basis of they're doing counterintelligence. Yeah, they want to know what you know.
Yeah.
They also want to know what they know.
Yeah.
What they know. So if they don't, and also if you cannot, everybody cannot be your enemy.
Yeah.
So there are some people that we have to work with.
Yeah.
Some have shortfalls. We ourselves, we have shortfalls. So
yeah.
Those are issues.
But Taliban has to get a Yona, because, you know, let me tell you.
You are Yona people.
Me, I'm a Yona people. Yona sponsor me.
And
they're putting a lot of resources for me. So I'm going to, I'll make sure Sunday when we come, we have a Yona wallet. Me along go. Taliban, I'm download Yona wallet. So at least the people from Yona. And then some people, mean for Europe, they can key through Yona transfer. They can do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
So let's get all of those people situated. By Sunday, we get all the Yona, the APS, everybody. And then let people send. And Sunday, we have to raise. Sunday, my target is 100,000. Let's see how that goes. At least one Sunday. The following week, I think.
Okay,
so until we come your way, good night to you all. I'll see you again. Bye-bye. See you next week. I'll see you on Sunday, inshallah. Bye-bye.
We are happy to announce the launch of our new logo. We have evolved since our incorporation in 1997, and it is time to refresh our new look to reflect who we are today. Before I reveal our new look, however, walk with me while I take you through our journey of the last 25 years. Trust Bank was incorporated on July 3rd, 1997 and began operations on October 1st, 1997. Following the collapse of the parent company of its predecessor, Meridian, the CBG stepped in and recapitalized the bank and held the shares in trust, thus the name Trust Bank. In 1999, the first investors who responded to the IPO and paid $1.50 per share received their maiden dividend of 50 bututs per share. In 2000, the bank fully paid back its investment by declaring another dividend of $1.20 bututs per share, making it a cumulative dividend per share of $1.70, which was 20 bututs above the purchase price. Between 2002 to date, share capital has increased from $27 million to $200 million, indicating that the bank has grown organically by plowing back profits to increase capital, while at the same time paying dividends to shareholders. The bank was listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange in November 2002, being the first ever cross-border listing in the sub-region. Now let's talk about awards. The bank was awarded the insignia of the National Order of the Republic of the Gambia, ORG, in the year 2010 by His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia. During the past years, the bank has received so many national and international awards. Banker Magazine, 6 times. Global Finance, 6 times. Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, 5 times. We began operations with 3 branches. Now, we have 18 branches and 20 ATMs and counting. On digital services, mobile app, check. Online banking, check. Transaction alerts, check. Watch this space. We've got more coming. Creating employment, yes, we've got that too. 400 and counting. And we take great care of our people too. Medical insurance, life insurance, private and state pensions, annual pilgrimages for both Muslims and Christians, training, yes, we do them all. One team, one family, one goal. That's the Trust Bank spirit. On corporate social responsibility, we have spent over $50 million in various causes. We care, and so we share. Over the years, we have paid over $1.6 billion to our shareholders, which translates to a whopping $20 per share and counting. Phenomenal returns for our shareholders who purchased at $1.50. Corporate taxes, over $1 billion is paid. Our journey started with a vision to create the kind of company that delivers quality services and innovative products with an inspired team dedicated to serving our customers, our environment, and our communities at large in the most caring manner. We remain fully committed to delivering excellent services to each of our stakeholders, customers, employees, shareholders, and partners. So, we remain true to who we have always been.